95 AM, Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's FIVEAA.
Sunny and 28 degrees today with the 6 o'clock news. Good morning, I'm Graham Goodings.
Chipped windscreen? Complete Windscreens can repair it from just $99. Look for the big red koala.
The federal opposition says low morale is part of the reason for the nation's defence force struggling to hire and retain employees. ADF officials have told a parliamentary hearing the military needs more than 4,000 extra personnel to be properly staffed. Shadow Defence Minister Andrew Hastie says major government changes are making the situation worse.
Army of the three services is doing the worst, and that's not surprising because this government is gutting Army of its armoured vehicles, it's moving people north, and morale is low. That's a big problem.
100,000 Victorian homes and businesses are still without power 2 days after deadly storms tore down transmission towers and closed roads across the state. AusNet hopes half of those properties will be reconnected today, while the remaining 50,000 could remain without power for another 3 days. Universities and private colleges are cancelling enrolments of many international students to protect their ratings under a new system. As Gabriel Hodson reports, student visa rejections are at a record high.
The federal government's given tertiary institutions a risk rating from 1 to 3 based on their likelihood of recruiting students for work rather than study. Only low-risk Level 1 providers have student visa applications processed quickly, but a bad rating gives universities and colleges the incentive to cancel enrolments before the visa process even begins. SMH The Age is reporting that the most affected applicants are from India, Nepal and Pakistan. Canberra is imposing tougher English tests on student visa applicants and a requirement that students prove that they're the real deal.
After 25 years, one of Adelaide's most iconic restaurants, Enzo's, is closing down. Owner Enzo Fazzari says after a quarter of a century, it was time for a change. But the name will live on in Enzo's home-ready meals. Now to FIVEAA Sport.
Order a new roller door from Glider Roll before February 28 and receive a $100 gift voucher. T's and C's apply.
And now here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Graham. Port Adelaide's Todd Marshall admits he's relieved to have his future secured at the club after signing a 5-year extension to stay at Alberton. The 25-year-old telling Rowie and Timmy G it's been in the pipeline for some time.
It was sort of in motion for a little bit, and the club and my management sort of had to sort out the finer details, but it's been sort of on my mind for a while now, and happy that it's all over now.
The Power will hold their Hall of Fame dinner tonight, while the Crows will head to Port Lincoln ahead of their internal trial match tomorrow. Well, South Australia has finished its one-day cup season with a win, cruising to a 5-wicket victory against Queensland at Karen Rolton Oval. Jordan Buckingham took career best figures of 6 for 41, while keeper Alex Carey took a stunning 8 catches to equal a world record. But the Redbacks still finished bottom of the competition. Well, Kyle Chalmers says he's never trained harder as he prepares for his 3rd Olympic Games. A gold medalist at Rio in 2016, Chalmers is swimming 6 hours a day as well as hitting the gym. More Champions League action on again this morning with Lazio hosting Bayern Munich, while PSG will take on Real Sociedad. And the Hockeyroos have beaten China for the first time since 2021, winning 2-0 at the Pro League in India. And that's the FIVEAA Sport.
Thanks, Tom. Now the FIVEAA forecast.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
And blue skies ahead. Sunny and 28 today. Tomorrow sunny 31. Saturday sunny 33. Sunday even warmer, sunny 35. Right now in Adelaide it's 14. More news as it happens on FIVEAA.
What could change everything for you? For Jess, it was a unique spoon. For Ravi, a remarkable pair of glasses. And for Graham, a wheelchair with a difference. Items that gave Jess, Ravi and Graham more independence. All discovered at the store that changes everything. What will you find at Novita Tech, Australia's largest in-store assistive tech experience? Now open at Hindmarsh or shop online at novitatech.com.au.
For over 3 decades, Regent Homes has been synonymous with crafting architecturally bespoke homes, each one a testament to Regent Homes' unwavering commitment to design, quality and sophistication. And because Regent Homes is a South Australian family-owned company, they understand more than anyone what it takes to build a family home. Experience Regent Homes' award-winning display homes at Lightsview and Blackwood Park. Innovative design, elevated living. Visit regenthomes.com.au.
Ladies, is the need to wee all the time making your life a misery? Caruso's Wee Less to the rescue. Caruso's Wee Less relieves the annoying and inconvenient feeling that you need to go to the bathroom too often and supports bladder health and function. So if your need to wee all the time is getting in the way of enjoying life, try Caruso's Wee Less today. Caruso's Wee Less is made in Australia, comes with a money-back guarantee and is available from leading pharmacies and health food stores. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth the trip, and now there's Barossa Mazda, Murray Street, Nuriapa. SA's newest Mazda dealership is now open. For 40 years, Steinborner has provided South Australians with outstanding customer service, exceptional value, and a large selection of new, used, and demo vehicles. The Steinborner story continues with the opening of their new state-of-the-art Mazda dealership in Barossa Valley. Barossa Mazda. It's well worth the trip. barossamazda.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Thursday on 5AA Breakfast. It is the 15th of February today. Sort of the beginning of the return to some pretty warm weather. As we just heard, we get up to 28, but that's the low of it. We'll take you to the Bureau just before 7 o'clock this morning to get a handle on the next week. But the short of it is it's going to be warm. It's going to be magnificent. Coming up on the program this morning, it being a Thursday, we've got Matt Abraham. We'll dissect the spin of the week. We're off to the US this hour with David Woyward from 7 News. The federal member for Grey, Rowan Ramsey, is going to be on the program after 8:30. I'm going to talk about a little bit about the history of breakfast cereal in this country. Appropriate breakfast topic, quite literally. Kellogg's turns 100 this year, 1924. The Kellogg brothers, their first discovery was the cornflake, was how to make it. And it has endured to this very day. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Will. Breakfast cereal. Not a big breakfast guy, I must admit. As a kid, Uncle Toby's muesli flakes, the ones that you... I don't even know if you can still get them anymore. They're in a black box.
I think you can.
Can you? Can you still get them? That was. I really like them. I used to eat them every morning.
I love breakfast cereal.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Absolutely. I love it.
Do you get into
I
the
wake up
sugary
and
stuff?
I look forward to it. No, not really. I like mueslis and stuff like that, which is actually, to be honest, is actually pretty sugary, but not your sort of traditional sweet cocoa pop type thing.
Fruit Loops?
Not Fruit Loops, no.
I must admit, every now and then I have a bowl of Fruit Loops.
Do you really?
Yeah, I like them. I think they're really good. I'm not really into sweets at all, but I think it's a craving thing. It must just be like...
a sugar hit.
Yeah, your body just says you need sugar. And I think, Fruit Loops, that's what I want. It probably only happens about once a year. But
the cornflake, it was discovered in 1894.
How did they invent the cornflake?
The W.H. Kellogg and his brother Dr. John Harvey Kellogg discovered flaked wheat berries. I don't know what that is.
Wheat berries? Well, wouldn't that just be when wheatgrass flowers?
Must be.
And then creates a berry.
It was part of.
So they're not corn. They're wheat.
Yeah, they're wheat.
No,
they are corn. That was their first discovery, I think, on the road to creating what would become the popular cornflake.
Yeah, right.
It's from toasting flakes of corn.
Okay.
So the actual cornflake was a latter discovery from the Kellogg brothers.
Well, there's a history of corn puffing going back to the Aztecs, because there's a really ancient soup in Mexico made out of corn kernels that are turned into a thing called hominy that's actually eaten in the southern US as well. And it's a puffed corn kernel that has been sort of reconstituted. You can buy it in tins at Chili Mojo and McGill. And there's a soup called pozole that's made out of puffed corn.
Right.
But they're big fat things, and they're a really good source of carbohydrate.
J.H. Kellogg would be delighted that the cornflake still persists to this day as arguably one of Australia's most popular breakfast cereals.
Why are they so popular? I just find them so boring.
No, this is it. This is the point. This is what I'm about to say. He'd be devastated by the nature of the rest of the Australian diet, though. J.H. Kellogg was a big proponent for the fact that people should be eating plain, bland food.
Yeah, right, okay.
So this is a very sort of...
Was he some sort of Methodist dude?
I think he must have been.
Yeah, he sounded like it.
So the idea that people having chili, you're going to Chili Mojo and like he would hate all that stuff. But it's funny to think something that was developed to be plain and bland in the 1920s is still popular today in 2024, despite the fact the palate has changed so much.
It's funny, isn't it? Because there was if you look at it in the old Era Foss and Green and Gold cookbooks, there's always a chapter from the 1940s, 1930s even, called Invalid Cookery, of how to cook really unspiced, bland food for people who are, suffering from some sort of illness, and and a lot of those recipes are probably designed along the exact same lines as Mr. Kellogg had in mind, that you shouldn't excite the senses or stimulate the stomach.
Breakfast is serious business. It's not for fun, frivolity, and Fruit Loops.
But of all that, for the life of me, why do people like cornflakes? If you're a cornflake, who's having a bowl of cornflakes?
Yeah,
now?
Who's waking up this morning to a bowl of cornflakes?
I reckon a lot of Australians.
On their 100th birthday.
The only good thing to do with cornflakes is to turn them into, what are they called? The cornflake version of chocolate crackles.
Oh, yeah.
Honey Smacks, is that what they're called?
They are awesome, those things.
Yeah, I can't stand chocolate crackles, but I don't mind.
Me too.
The problem with chocolate crackles is they all taste like kofa.
Mm.
They all taste like vegetable
honey
shortening.
and cornflakes, who knew?
I know,
but I think
hold together really well.
I think a lot of people would say they love cornflakes, but not in the way that J.H. Kellogg had thought about them. They use them as a carrier service for mounds of sugar.
Well, Kellogg's themselves do this too, because he must be turning in his grave at the existence of crunchy nut cornflakes. It's only a short walk from a Fruit Loop to a crunchy nut cornflake. Those things are filled with sugar, and that's why they taste vastly better than cornflakes.
We need to hear from our cornflake advocates. Or maybe are we overcooking it? Is the cornflake not that popular at 100 years on? 1924 it started. 2024, its 100th birthday. We'll be speaking with someone from Kellanova, who's the parent company, after 8 o'clock.
Well, quite a few texts already. Morning, boys. The reason cornflakes have survived is because we cover them with a ton of sugar.
There you go.
Snap, Crackle and Pop, Sam the Toucan and Tony the Tiger were found murdered and police are looking for a serial killer. That's from Rob.
Thank you,
Rob. And Wally the Walnut says, Wheat Bix, cornflakes, rice bubbles, porridge, anything, but I'm over crappy and sugary cereals. It's hard to beat proper homemade porridge, I reckon.
Porridge is amazing. I love porridge.
Did you put salt in it?
Yes, you have to put salt in porridge.
Yeah. It gives it
I used to make
zip.
porridge. It was great.
I used to make it a lot when I was younger. It makes you feel really set up for the day, porridge.
Porridge during winter? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Did you put any...
makes it worth it.
Are you a maple syrup guy or a honey guy or just the porridge?
If I'm feeling, like living on the edge, there might be a little bit of honey in there.
Bit of banana?
Banana, 100%.
Yeah.
Talking cereal this morning, 100 years since the Kellogg's cornflake was made available to the Australian and US markets.
We salute the cornflake.
We salute the cornflake. Keep those texts coming in. Big 10 Ford, GW, Haval, Hyundai, Isuzu, Ute, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Nissan, Ram, Subaru and Volkswagen. Dutton's easy to do business with.
Get a read on your year. Get better at money stuff. Get a different point of view. Get your travel on and get in the game. Get school lunches absolutely nailed. Get more out of 24 with The Advertiser. We're for you.
At Orana, we believe everyone should live the life of their choice. We create opportunities for people with disability to live as independently as possible. Orana support people with an NDIS plan who are looking for a short break away from home. Stay from 1 night or up to 12 nights. Short-term accommodation can be a welcome break for the individual, their family, or a stepping stone to living independently. For independent living, make your home with Orana. Visit oranaonline.com.au. Orana, creating opportunities.
School is back, which is an absolute relief to loads of parents out there. And if music is one of your child's subjects, you'll be equally pleased to know that Derringer's Music has everything you need to start the year right. Guitars, keyboards, drums and more.
Derringer's has a team of in-the-know musos ready to help, and they've all been on the journey your child is about to embark on, so who better to speak with?
And when it comes to the selection of Yamaha instruments, it's safe to say Derringer's Music is unmatched for range and value. Plus, right now, you'll find incredible back-to-school offers right across the store, including all things Yamaha.
Really is a fantastic setup, Derringers. I love it. Back to school, make it easy with Derringers and Yamaha, your local support act. Check out their website, derringers.com.au.
At Keaton, we understand that like a fine wine, life continues to get better with age. Join us for a series of events where you'll be inspired to connect, learn and thrive in retirement as we celebrate it as a time for creativity, exploration and self-discovery. So come live a little, sip and socialise with friends as you experience the joy of retirement living at a Keaton village near you. Visit keatonevents.com.au to find out more and RSVP today.
It's Edward from Edwardstown Mazda, South Australia's #1 destination for Mazda. Edwardstown Mazda has a very serious offer. So this is my most serious voice. This month's get savings equal to the on-road costs, plus free servicing on all 2023 plates. T's and C's apply. I'm Edward from Edwardstown Mazda, and I'm being very serious right now.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
16 after 6, news headlines time on this 15th of February, a Thursday morning. Big one this. Victorian scientists have made a major discovery which could help treat a range of diseases, including many cancers. The team from the Peter MacCallum Cancer Centre has identified a key to unlocking the next generation of cancer therapeutics. These new treatments will use a new type of ribonucleic acid, so it's an RNA, essentially vaccine that can be tailored to treat many cancers, as well as some genetic and neurological diseases. There's a lot of work in Victoria, but there's a lot of work happening at UniSA on this, here in South Australia as well. It's a joint investigation, but it sounds incredibly promising. They always will spruik the potential upside and the best case scenario of these guys because they're always looking for funding and private interest and whatnot. But one of the key people I was reading this morning on this study said they could be talking about vaccines for certain cancers within 5 years.
You're kidding?
Yeah, that's the stuff of science fiction.
That's insane, isn't it?
Quite incredible.
So if you knew you had a genetic predisposition towards something, or could you just take them regardless?
I'm not sure. That's a great question. I don't know how they would. Yeah, can you take them after the fact, or are they only preventative? Yeah, but it sounds like, this RNA type approach, part of the issue with your body fighting cancer is your body just doesn't recognise it as a problem. It sees it as part of you.
Yeah.
So if you can train it to say, attack that.
And don't attack anything else.
And don't attack anything else. That's you're on the path to finding something pretty remarkable.
At some point they will find effectively a cure for it.
I think so.
Because we found a cure for so many other diseases.
Yeah. It's all puzzles.
What happens when we've found a cure for everything? How's the ramping situation going to look then?
Well, no, there's people that have speculated about how long does an organ last in the absence of a disease. How long does a heart or your lungs last if you didn't have cancer, if nothing goes wrong?
And they keep them in showroom condition.
Yeah, they say that there's no reason your organs, at very least, couldn't still be operating at 150 or beyond.
Like Mr. Burns. Put your head in some sort of, bucket, save it for later.
What would the retirement age be then, do you think?
But wouldn't you still get to the point where you'd have cognitive issues?
Yes, probably.
So your brain would be...
your organs are firing.
So you'd have Joe Biden with the body of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, it's a dangerous thought, isn't it?
This is super buffed guy who can't remember anything.
Sounds like the premise for a film.
Yeah. Total Recall. Or Total Non-Recall.
I love Total Recall. That's good, that movie.
It's so bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. A man who kidnapped a child in remote Western Australia is hoping a court will rule his punishment doesn't fit the crime. Terence Kelly was jailed for more than 13 years after snatching Cleo Smith from her family's tent,
I reckon it doesn't
hiding her
fit
for
the crime.
18 days. His lawyers are fighting to have that jail time slashed, arguing the abduction was spontaneous, not planned.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
I think most people would say his sentence doesn't fit the crime, and that 13 years is way under what most people would have given that weirdo.
Do you go back to Cleo with her psychological counselling and say, hey, it's actually not that bad. He didn't plan it. It was just spontaneous?
Yeah, just so you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't planned. It was just one of those things. Yeah, what material difference does that make to how she feels about it? And isn't it the most common sense counter-argument of what that half-wit lawyer's saying, that the fact that it's spontaneous, maybe that's arguably even or equally as troubling, that suddenly this dodgy switch in this bloke's warped mind's going to go off and he's going to start kidnapping children.
Exactly.
Like, how does it make it any better?
This is a sad story. SA's Big Shed Brewing, founded in 2002, has been placed in administration. The owner's still hopeful, though, that it can be saved. It was one of the state's craft beer pioneers. They opened up the big new joint on Port Road. They had the original, which is, I love on Frederick Road, just off Frederick Road.
Oh, in the industrial estate.
Oh, I love that place.
Yeah.
One of the best nights out ever, I reckon, just wandering in there by accident one night. We just stayed. It was so good.
I used to go down there quite a lot with Scott down Port Adelaide when we were doing the book together. That was our little planning session spot. A lot of brainstorming went on there. But it's too good to not succeed. I think, some of their beer is a bit of a party trick, like...
Yeah, they do gimmicks.
13% stuff that sends you mad, half a pint in. But I reckon that Californicator is really good.
Yep.
And the FIVEAA is an excellent beer, really drinkable beer.
Lucy, of course, famously drank the fruit choc beer in the studio.
I know. Lucy, she's so upset by this news that I think she's going to have another six-pack during the program this morning after her heroics. It wasn't a six-pack, it was just one.
It was just one. But she put it away. She was all business that morning.
Oh, yeah.
They've said part of the issue is the alcohol excise tax. So, well done, federal government. That's a small business you've shut down.
Ironically, in the past, governments have actually given these businesses money to help them...
Like Pirate Life, the state government gave them a stack of cash for that awesome setup they've got down at Port Adelaide.
Seriously, though, hopefully, whatever costs they've got at the moment that are unsustainable, they can restructure and keep going, because...
They are beloved. You'd think there's enough community support.
We have a lot of listeners there, and particularly if you go there at 4 p.m, even a bit earlier, heaps of tradies go there. It's hugely popular with tradies.
85% of the Australian beer market's owned by 2 Japanese companies right now.
Sad, isn't it?
85%. So you think then a company like Cooper's is a huge part of the other 15%, but the rest of it's small places like this.
Yeah.
Like this is Australian beer.
Yeah, that's right. Made here in Adelaide.
The federal opposition says low morale is part of the reason the nation's defence force is struggling to hire and retain employees. ADF officials have told a parliamentary hearing the military needs more than 4,000 extra personnel to be properly staffed. Shadow Defence Minister Andrew Hastie says major government changes are making the situation worse.
Army of the 3 services is doing the worst, and that's not surprising because this government is gutting Army of its armoured vehicles. It's moving people north and morale is low. That's a big, big problem.
We might be getting closer to having some Australian regulations on the use of artificial intelligence. The federal government setting up an advisory panel to look at the next steps. 12 experts have been appointed to identify high-risk applications of artificial intelligence. In June, they're going to publish a report. CSIRO Chief Scientist Professor Bronwyn Fox is on the panel and says AI poses a global challenge.
The rate of change and the rate of advancement in artificial intelligence is bringing us incredible opportunities for amazing benefits both nationally and internationally, but we need to make sure that we are innovating in a responsible manner.
I was reading, there's a Robert Thompson, the boss of News Corporation. They're in talks with some AI companies about how News Corp could potentially sell all of its content to AI companies. So every article that has ever appeared in the Australian, every newspaper in Australia, the Times of the Herald Sun, because at the moment, the company, and quite right, this content takes a hell of a lot of money to create. If you cover Parliament, you've got to pay rent at the Parliament, you've got to pay salaries to the staff, you've got to pay for them to travel overseas with Prime Ministers and so on. Everyone knows, or should know, the argument as to why news costs money. But at the moment, because so much of that exists out there in the ether, these AI search engines can just scour every Google or similar in the internet land to pinch all of that content. So I think having learnt the bitter lessons of how they manage the transition from print to online, they've actually said to the AI mob, well, maybe it's better to cuddle up than be devoured. So
makes sense.
I don't know how it's going to pan out, because these things in the past have fallen down, like Facebook and so forth.
That's right. But you can see the application for it as a user in the future, can't you? You tell the AI, I want to read every article that's ever been written about Taylor Walker in the NFL. And it throws up yesterday's sports page, and maybe there was something else someone ever said. You know,
well, say you're doing
it's the next generation of searching.
The best example will probably be, say you're doing a school project about Ash Wednesday.
Yep.
And you just instantly, AI will create all the background information about, loss of life, affected towns and suburbs in Victoria and South Australia. Photography, all the photographs that were taken of it, and probably 50% or more of that would have been Advertiser and Herald Weekly Times content.
Yeah.
So, interesting. Either get cannibalised or go along for the ride.
Yeah, that's right. Bali is going the way of Victoria. They're charging a $15 levy to holiday in Bali. I reckon you'd be much happier to pay it going to Bali than you would be going to Melbourne.
Yeah. I think so.
Indonesian authorities...
Particularly at the moment, because the Indonesians have still got the power on.
Yeah, well, they've just had an election. Things are going to get a little bit interesting, I suspect, with our friends to the north.
The new general.
The old general...
Who now pretending that he's reinvented himself. Yeah, with less human rights abuses.
Strong man under the Suharto regime.
Yeah, he's the defence minister.
He's been... this would never happen in Australian politics, although maybe I should never say never. But he was a strong man, standing accused of some human rights violations, albeit that hasn't been upheld. He's been reinvented as a quirky, funny man later in life that ran for president.
Did you see the footage of him doing this sort of Boris Yeltsin-style dancing?
Yeah.
It's demented.
It is weird. Anyway, Indonesian authorities say the fee's aimed at protecting the island's environment and culture, and you can pay it online via the Love Bali website.
I mean, we shouldn't laugh too much about people like Boris Yeltsin, given that, we are, of course, the home of Barnaby Joyce.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not.
So what you like about Boris, I never saw him fall off a planter box and lie there on the ground. He just used to do the dancing.
Tom Renz at the 5AA Breakfast Studio with us. Order a new roller door from Glider before Feb 28 and receive a $100 gift voucher. T's and C's apply. Morning, Rennie.
Morning to you, Will. Morning, David. Confirmation yesterday, of course. Todd Marshall signing that 5-year deal. So good news for Port. They've got their Hall of Fame dinner tonight. The Crows heading to Port Lincoln, and the more we sort of read into it and just reading between the lines of comments, the more likely it looks, doesn't it, that Matty Nix is going to get locked away, you would think, before round one, which is, only a few weeks away. Let's have a bit of a listen to what John Olsen, the chairman, had to say to Rowie and Timmy G last night.
His contract, as you know, runs to the end of this year. We're having discussions with Matthew. We talked to him about the footy program and the performance. But he's a lot of credit to Matthew Nix. He's developed a good culture in the club. There is no doubt. I've referred on your program before. He's a next-generation coach, and clearly his performance, positioning the club through the rebuild, he deserves absolute credit.
So he's speaking glowingly. They want to get it done. I think Nix wants to get it done. It's just sorting out the terms. So, 2 years, I think it'll happen, and it'll happen, I think, before.
2 years would be a very reasonable and responsible extension from the club's perspective, I think.
Because if it goes wrong, you're not
you're not
tied
on
in.
the hook long term.
Yeah. If it goes well, then you can say, let's extend it again after that. So I think...
But we don't know if he wants more than 2. We don't know if the club's offered him. We don't know what the offer is, do we?
It's sounding like it is going to be that 2 years.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yep.
See, I don't think Matthew Nix would be that disturbed. If he's got... he has no reason not to believe that the rebuild's on track. Because if in 2 years' time they've played finals... and they've won some finals, well, he's in a very different negotiating position because he's a young coach that's seen a club come from the bottom then to win finals 2 years from now. That would make him hot property in the AFL, and I think he would be able to command a much bigger fee than he might otherwise. So I can see for both sides why 2 years makes sense.
With Tasmania coming in and everything like that, So we'll wait and see. And Pempo, this one's for you. NRL players are being warned about sex traps and extortion attempts whilst in Las Vegas. Up to 40 security guards will shadow the 4 teams during the week-long build-up in Sin City.
I've been saying for weeks now, taking the NRL, the National Rugby League, to Las Vegas, what could possibly go wrong?
What are these security guards doing? Do they walk around with a team over...
I'm not sure.
The Panthers are getting out of their hotel room. Mobilise all units.
I really think that under the leadership of Peter V'landys, the NRL has... And I admire this, It's like the KFC I don't care ad, where it's like, this food is fatty, salty garbage, and we don't care.
Yeah.
We're just going to eat it. And I reckon taking the NRL to Vegas,
Yeah.
it's almost like it's some sort of practical joke where someone at NRL house said, imagine if we played round one in Vegas, you know, and, they're taking the boys over there.
That'd be funny.
Yeah, that'd be funny. And
Oh, let's do it.
Hang on a minute. Yes, I like it. So,
I don't care.
Be the only sporting event you got to cover with a police radio.
Get on your ready.
Thanks, boys.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 28 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Graham Blix.
From chips to replacements, make Complete Windscreens your insurer repairer of choice. CompleteWindscreens.com.au.
More questions are being raised about Australia's transition to renewable energy after a power outage. 100,000 homes and businesses are still without power 2 days after storms tore down transmission towers in Victoria. Nationals MP Keith Pitt says Energy Minister Chris Bowen needs to visit the state.
Well, I think he should be down there having a look at reality. There's lots of Australians, those in Victoria, who are going to be short on electricity. I think the ones who've still got gas connected to their houses will be very happy. They can at least cook and they'll probably have hot water. But as you know, Victoria has had prohibition on gas exploration for 10 years.
The Defence Force is considering decreasing recruitment times, pulling back fitness standards and allowing foreigners to serve. The nation's military is under pressure to increase numbers, which are 7% below target. 5 telcos that send out mass text messages on behalf of other businesses have breached the scam code. The Australian Communications and Media Authority has found they failed to comply with multiple anti-scam public safety rules. ACMA's Samantha York says more than 2 million impersonation scams have been sent to Australian mobile phones.
We're not aware of anybody losing any money, but we have determined that 2 of the companies in particular, Message for You and SMS Broadcast, each allowed over 1.2 million scam SMS messages to be sent to Australians.
Around 15,000 sheep and cows have been offloaded from a ship at a port in Western Australia. The livestock was on board the MV Bahija, which became stranded off the coast for more than a month after it was turned back from a journey to the Middle East. 64 sheep and 4 cows died during the voyage. The number of international students being rejected from Australian universities has reached a record high. The federal government is ranking tertiary institutions based on the likelihood that they'll recruit students for work rather than study. Applicants from India, Nepal and Pakistan are being the worst affected. We're being asked to swap G'day with K-Day to help raise awareness and funds for childhood cancer. All donations made to the Kids Cancer Project today will be matched with a fundraising goal of $500,000. Chief Executive Owen Finnegan says a childhood cancer diagnosis is devastating, but they're working to help ease the pain.
Discovering your child has got cancer is probably the worst news a parent can ever receive, and that happens every day in Australia. 3 families hear those words. So we are calling on all Australians to swap the iconic G'day with G'day and donate.
New car dealers say most Australians will purchase an SUV or ute as their next vehicle, and they claim people are keeping their cars for longer because of cost of living pressures, while 3 in 5 people are less open to paying more for electric vehicles. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a new roller door from Gliderol before February 28 and receive a $100 gift voucher. T's and C's apply.
And now here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Graham. Let's start with footy. Port Adelaide will hold its Hall of Fame dinner and season launch tonight at Adelaide Oval as excitement grows ahead of the new season. Already a big boost for the club with Todd Marshall signing a 5-year contract extension. Meantime, Adelaide's players will head to Port Lincoln ahead of their internal trial there tomorrow. Well, 26-year-old Sam Williamson has picked up Australia's first gold medal at the Swimming World Championships in Doha. He won the 50-metre breaststroke with an impressive time of 26.32.
This is going to be tough. Who gets on the touch? It's Williamson. Williamson takes the gold for Australia over Martin Indian Fink. What a finish. What a result. It's gold to Sam Williamson.
Audio there thanks to Nine. Well, Champions League action continues this morning with the round of 16 underway. French giants PSG are at home to Real Sociedad, while Italian club Lazio host Bayern Munich. Former Socceroo and Stan Sport expert Craig Foster has told Nines today title holders Manchester City showed they're still the team to beat with a 3-1 win over Copenhagen.
The question is who can possibly stop them. That's how strong they are, and of course they're on a 10-match winning run in the EPL.
Aussie Alex de Minaur has cruised into the quarterfinals of a tennis tournament in Rotterdam after smashing David Goffin 6-3, 6-1. And Aussie golfer Adam Scott is ruling himself out of representing Australia at the upcoming Olympics. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thanks, Tom. Now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
Sunny and 28 today, tomorrow sunny 31, Saturday sunny 33, Sunday sunny 35. Right now it's 14. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
25 to 7, police and weather shortly. We're off to the US this half hour on the program. Take you through a wrap of the morning stories after 7 o'clock, including extraordinary front page on the Advertiser this morning. When you hear the court say someone's been released on home detention, I don't imagine you figured it worked where after a certain time of day it becomes really hard to track these people as to whether they're complying with their home detention requirements.
We all know no one who lives on the wrong side of the law has ever done anything bad between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m., don't we?
That's right. So there's no need to have mobile teams out ready to monitor them.
Yeah, it's not like they're going to break into your house, at night, in the dark.
It is an amazing story. We'll bring you the details of it after 7 o'clock today.
It really is genuinely appalling. And it's such a public service mentality, and that's not some generalised knock on the public service, but the idea that that's the way you structure something is just incompetent. It's embarrassing. And it shows a total clock-watching mentality.
Also after 7, some big concerns about the AUKUS money from the US perspective. It's currently tied up in a piece of legislation that includes money for Ukraine, for helping out Taiwan, for Israel, and so it's hyper-political. It's a $95 billion bill.
It's all the defence money bundled up together.
That's right. $3.4 billion in this is US money. Of it is for AUKUS. So this huge debate that you're hearing on your news services at the moment where the US, you've got the Republicans saying, well, we're not going to pass any of this until you do some border security stuff because, the defence of the country begins at home and all this kind of rhetoric. In that debate is a little bit of money for Osborne, South Australia.
Yeah.
In a roundabout way. It's money that'll go towards realising AUKUS.
Because aren't some of the Republicans wanting to remove some elements? Like they're saying that they support the Israel and Taiwan defence spending, but they don't support as much on Ukraine.
That's right.
But then the more moderate Republicans, because I saw on Fox News last night, they had a pro-defence spending Republican guy on there. Oh no, sorry, he was on CNN. Of course, he was on CNN, not on Fox. But he was saying, this is actually money for industry, for the defence industry in America. He said all of this money is going to be spent in America.
That's right.
On American-made weapons that we're going to send to these countries.
Well, the AUKUS subs deal is about upgrading US sub-building capability, essentially, to be able to build enough that they can hand over some to us.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
because that was the part of the debate that I thought totally overlapped with us here in SA.
That's exactly right. It does. It does. So we'll talk more about that after 7:05. Do you know, on this day, 1975, Barry Manilow won his first and only Grammy. Do you know what it was for?
1975.
1979.
1979.
Best male pop vocal performance.
I reckon it was either Copacabana or Mandy.
Copacabana, the hottest spot north of Havana.
Come on, Will, what was his name?
I don't know.
Rico.
Rico.
What did he wear? A diamond.
You love Barry Manilow, don't you?
You're going to be tested on this. I reckon Barry Manilow's excellent.
You love Barry Manilow.
I'm a man of simple pleasures. Nothing. Kate and I, one of our most blessed private things to do together, play Yahtzee at Aldinga, listening to either the best of Barry Manilow or the best of the Carpenters. Those quiet nights, you get the kids to bed, have a glass of wine, play Yahtzee, listen to Barry Manilow. It's great. Just come down one night.
That was... No, it sounds very intimate. I don't want to get in between the Yahtzee and the Barry Manilow.
I reckon a lot of our listeners would agree.
Yeah, without a doubt.
The old Yahtzee Manilow combo, we call it.
Whatever works.
Whatever floats your boat.
Now, speaking of simple pleasures, I reckon a lot of our listeners would have been fans of this.
Cyril said, "Oh, it's Cyril. We haven't had Cyril for so long."
Yes, I've been wondering where he's been. Doing a movie.
Cyril is in all at sea, yes. Cyril said, She always starts like that. Cyril said, "Oh, my friend Derek is so manly. He picks his teeth with blanks." That's what Cyril said.
That's, of course, Blankety Blanks, hosted by the late, great Graham Kennedy.
That was one of the best shows ever in the history of Australian television.
So much incredible talent. Graham Kennedy, if he were still alive, of course he died in 2005 at the age of 71, would have been 90 today. Always called the King of Australian television. The King in any other format, and I'm thinking in footy you've got Neil Curley's the King, Wayne Carey the King. Like in every other sport, there's about 15 people that are called the King. There's no one in Australian television that has been called the King of Australian TV other than Graham Kennedy,
and probably never will be, because that format of television is pretty well gone.
Absolutely. Who would be the King of Australian TV today?
Variety as a concept.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
No.
Who would it be? Who's the King of Australian
Probably
TV
you.
today? It's certainly not anyone.
You walked into that one, didn't
It's
you?
not anyone
Hey?
reading local
Should've seen
news.
that
I'll
one
give you the hot tip.
Best provincial radio star and TV personality.
It'd be.
Imagine trying to put Blankety Blanks on air today, because Cyril said and
The whole show was double entendres and
the whole
innuendos.
thing was like, one big sort of Benny Hill style gag. And the thing that made it so good was because he had all the regulars, there was just this superb sort of interplay between Kennedy and the regular panellists, like Dave Gray, sitting there puffing on. I mean, imagine smoking a cigar on television in 2024. Even that alone, let alone the sort of homoerotic content and references to Peter the Phantom Puller. But you had Dave Gray, Stuart Wagstaff, Nolene Brown. How would he always kiss Nolene Brown? They'd do that long kiss, going forever. Some nights it would go for like 40 seconds.
Blankety Blanks crystallises, I think, what is a rare phenomenon in all of human history. The people who grew up watching that show, I suspect, both got tut-tutted for that kind of humour by their grandparents and now get tut-tutted by their children or grandchildren for it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in that generation, your humour is too edgy for just about anyone that's born either side of you.
Yeah, correct. And a very 1970s program.
Completely.
Sort of the Don's Party era where, people just behave however the hell they wanted.
Andrew's called in on the olden days of TV. Morning to you, Andrew.
Good morning. Good morning, David. You already mentioned the great names from that show. Nolene Brown, Ugly Dave Gray, Stuart Wagstaff. They made the show.
Yeah, they did, didn't they, mate?
But the last person from that era was Bert Newton. There hasn't been anybody else since him.
Yeah, that's true. And, of course, he was Graham's sidekick for so long.
Yep, but he was the last. And there was another guy, not quite in the same league, but could do that kind of stuff, was Mike Walsh.
Yeah.
He's the last one, I think, left alive. I think he's still going, but he got out of it early to go into theatres and stuff, but he was certainly the only other person. But Bert Newton was the other one that was the king of doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Great era of television. It's sad that it's gone. Like, why isn't there a demand for it anymore?
Live entertainment.
Yeah. I mean, probably the last attempt to do it was the Late Night Live with Steve Vizard, which was a total lift from David Letterman.
Yeah, his whole performance was a rip-off of Letterman.
Even down to the top 10 list and everything. And even his whole demeanour. But at least he was trying something.
Yeah, at least, yeah. It was live. 16 to 7. Let's check traffic and come back with police and weather in just a moment. When the UV's 3 and above, cover up, use sun protection, stay sun smart. Download the SunSmart app.
Thanks, Will, and good morning, David. Smash and Morphet Vines to look out for today. Beach Road at Main South Road. Burst Watermain at Athelston. Stradbroke Road near the Well Avenue. Slow going at Winter Gardens for work. St Olds Road near Lagonda Drive and getting busy South Road at Fibbleton. Cameras, Coventry Road, Davern Park and Anzac Highway at Ashford. Let's go. The Caravan Camping and Outdoor Show is on now with everything you need for your next road trip adventure. On now until Sunday at the Adelaide Showground. Tickets online or at the gate. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
At Coles, make lunch or dinner a chicken winner with Coles RSPCA approved chicken breast schnitzel plain crumb 600 grams down to just $9 a pack. That's our lowest price in 18 months. That's great value, hands down, at Coles.
Breaking news.
Sky News Australia can reveal
In a major development, you can stream your favourite Sky News shows.
it's a brand new way to join the battle of ideas.
Here you won't hear an echo.
Debate is essential to a healthy democracy.
Access the latest news, sport and weather. Plus the opinion that you won't find anywhere else. Your favourite shows, one app. Stream for $5 a month. Download the Sky News Australia app right now. Conditions apply.
It all started in the back shed. Maybe it started early or late. Either way, the Olympic Industry sale means there's no need to wait. With big savings on our entire range of SA engineered sheds, garages, carports and verandas, you can afford to start something big, tough or tasty in your own backyard. Start something with the Olympic Industry sale. On now.
It's Ian Healy, and I'm here to talk to you about back pain and Kiza. If you're one of the 80% of Australians who suffer from back pain, it's tempting to do nothing. But this can cause weaknesses down the road. The best place to start with back pain is exercise, and the best place to exercise is Kiza. Kiza's physios and Swiss-designed strength training equipment help you build strength in a supervised environment. I go to Kiza, and you can too, at our new clinic in Norwood. Book your initial assessment at kiza.com.au.
Are you sitting down? Great, because what you're about to hear is unprecedented, unbeatable, unparalleled. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen is giving you 3 days, just 3 days, to walk in and drive out in your dream Mawson Lakes Volkswagen. All models, all colours, all ready to drive away. This Thursday, Friday and Saturday only, so hurry in. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen's unprecedented 3-day sale. On now and Saturday. Salisbury Highway, just a short drive from the city.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
13 to 7. Let's talk about the weather because it's a little bit cool last night. We went down to Henley for Valentine's Day and it was
cool.
It was mild. It's not going to be mild for the next week. Jenny Horvath at the Weather Bureau has all the details. Morning to you, Jenny.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, a little bit cool overnight. Minimum temperature getting down to 10.5. That was at about 4 a.m. this morning, so you're a little bit cooler than what we've had. Currently 14 degrees at the West Terrace Night Apira observation site. But we do have a bit of a warming trend as we head into the weekend and early next week. So weather being dominated by a high-pressure system over waters to the south of the state, and it's just going to hang around with that ridge as we head into the weekend. So a little bit of high cloud out there this morning, made for a pretty sunrise with the pinks in there, but looking at a mostly sunny day ahead. Aiming for a top temperature of 28 degrees in the city, 29 for Elizabeth, 27 or 26 along the coast. Mount Barker looking at around 25 degrees. And then as we head on into the end of the week and the weekend, sunny conditions continuing, looking at a top temperature of around 31 degrees on Friday after a minimum of around 13, potentially getting up to around 33 for Saturday. Sunday looking at around 34 or 35 degrees. Monday looking at around 35 or 36. Tuesday maybe a little bit of a dip there down to around 33, but then sort of warming back up, possibly getting back up into the sort of the mid to higher 30s for the middle of the week. There a little bit of uncertainty with the forecast in the middle of next week. There is a bit of a change moving through. We've got some timing issues with that one, but we'll look at that one next week. But looking at a dry and warm weekend ahead.
Lovely. Thank you, Jenny. Jenny Horvath at the Bureau, where summer's come late. It's
good.
It's come late and it's come on strong.
Perfect beach weather.
When the UV index is 3 and above, cover up, use sun protection, stay SunSmart. Download the SunSmart app today. It'll get to 11, which is extreme. It'll be 11 consistently.
Does it go up to 11?
Goes up to 12, actually.
Does it?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't, unlike the Spinal Tap
Clear what I
speaker.
was doing there. Why not just make 10 sunnier?
Let's go to SAPOL. Senior Constable Rebecca Stokes is on the line. Rebecca, good morning.
Good morning.
There's been a suspicious fire at a Lonsdale cafe.
Yes, police and fire crews were called to a cafe on O'Sullivan Beach Road at Lonsdale just before 5 a.m. this morning by reports of a fire. When officers arrived, they found that a jerry can had been thrown through the front window of the building. Now, luckily, the fire didn't spread. It was extinguished by MFS crews. However, the building sustained minor fire and a bit of smoke damage. Our crime scene officers will attend and examine the scene this morning. But we're keen to speak to anyone who saw any suspicious activity. This was about 5 a.m. on O'Sullivan Beach Road at Lonsdale. Perhaps you were driving past, have some dash cam or CCTV footage of any vehicles or people in the area. They can contact Crime Stoppers at www.crimestoppersa.com.au.
Now, Rebecca, this one, the way this is written, I'll just read the way it's written on the screen. Police dog Edge arrested a man in the CBD.
Yes, full credit to Edge. He was very helpful to help patrols arrest this man this morning who'd allegedly broken into a licensed premises. It was about 1:40 a.m, licensed premises on the corner of Heine Street and Morford Street. A man was seen to smash his way into the business with a gas bottle. He entered the building before leaving a short time later with several bottles of alcohol. And Heine Street patrols and police dog Edge are quickly on scene, and Edge was able to track west along Heine Street, then north on Register Street, and indicated here into a stairwell, and inside police dog Edge found a 24-year-old Elizabeth Downs man and helped place him under arrest. Fantastic. And the man was allegedly found in possession of a bag containing bottles of alcohol. He's been charged with the break-in, theft, unlawful possession and breach of bail, and he'll face court today. So another good stat for police dog Edge.
Well done, Edge.
He always gets his man. Edge.
Don't mess with Edge.
How does he read the rights to the offenders, though?
I don't know.
Does he do that?
How does he do this between playing bass and U2? That's what I want to know.
That's right, exactly.
Now, let's have a look at a couple of the messages that are coming through on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream. Robin on cornflake cookies simply says yum. And Jimmy says vanilla ice cream with honey and cornflakes. Or chocolate topping and cornflakes. We're talking all things cornflakes. Kellogg's turns 100 this year.
Kaz in Brompton was having a bowl of porridge as we were discussing this very thing. She says it needs a scant teaspoon of dark brown sugar.
Yeah, I don't mind that idea,
That'd be
actually.
good, actually.
Yeah, that's
caramelise it up a bit. Also, did we read Pauline's out about the cornflakes with cold milk, fresh fruit,
No.
and a dollop of Greek yogurt?
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, good on a summer's morning. And a lot of love for blankety blanks. Heaps of people texting in. A bit about the NRL taking round one to Vegas. Mick says it's been a masterstroke by Volandis in the NRL. But the geniuses at AFL House are delusional if they think anyone in the NRL states are going to watch the first AFL round. It's a farcical start to our season. And Rob says NRL in Vegas could turn into the Hangover NRL edition. Is Mike Tyson available to chaperone?
If any code in Australia was going to, one of the stories was going to be they wound up with a live Siberian tiger in their hotel room, it'd be the NRL.
Can you imagine how much fun it would be being a journo covering that trip?
Be out of control.
It'd be so good. Like, it'd just be insane.
All right, let's head to the US.
Do an OB.
David Woyward for 7 News joins us on 5AA Breakfast. David, what are you up to at the moment?
Good morning, guys. Well, we are covering the the Super Bowl parade today. The Super Bowl parade in Kansas City. There had been 1 million people, they reckon, that were going to go line the streets to welcome home their hometown heroes, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs, and their back-to-back title. But we're just hearing in the past few moments that there has been a shooting at this rally. Now, details still just coming through at the moment, but we understand that a number of people have been struck, and I'm just reading from tweets that are now being put out by the local police there saying that shots have been fired around the Union Station area and officers are working to clear that area. So we are still just trying to get a handle on this situation right now, but certainly it looks like what was a really fun day is ending in the most awful of fashion.
So it sounds like, what, David, the shots have been fired where the homecoming parade was for the team?
At some stage along that parade route, and I've seen some preliminary pictures coming through just online of crowds running and scrambling, jumping over fencing and things like that. It sounds like the players were out of the way, that they had perhaps made their way already through, but certainly some of those members of the crowd have been caught up in this.
That's terrible.
That's a really scary situation. So they reckon 1 million people are out on this route, David. Does that seem about right to you? That's a terrifying situation.
I mean, it sounds like a huge number. That might be just a bit of exaggeration there from the local media. I know that we're very excited to see these huge crowds. But certainly the pictures that we've seen, there were hundreds of thousands of people out there. There has been a huge number of people, of course. They're back-to-back champions. They are the ones that everyone's talking about right now. We've seen the star quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. We've seen Travis Kelce. They've all been out and about today, really mixing with fans. They get right up on that fence line. They've been shaking hands, showing them the Super Bowl trophy as well. So they've been up close with a lot of those fans. And now this breaking news that perhaps there was someone in that crowd that had a weapon at the time.
That's really scary.
Jeez. Just look at footage of it now on the TV. They're all parading around on the stage, all the players. It looks like a stock standard, we've won everything sort of party. David Woywood there for 7 News in the US. Thank you for that.
We'll let him get back to covering that story. It sounds like it's breaking at the moment. The pictures we've got on the Foodland Supermarkets live stream, there's police running into an area of a crowd around the metro station that was mentioned in David's report.
It doesn't look like it's where the players are, though, does it?
No, it looks like it's where the parade's been.
Yeah, yeah.
But
because there's deck chairs and what have you left there. People are clambering over security fences.
It's just unfortunate, isn't it, that this kind of event that attracts this many people, some people go, well, that'll be perfect.
That country, it's just never going to grapple with it, is it? When we were in Dallas, I was just like, there was a day when we went to this fantastic natural history and science museum to see dinosaur skeletons. They've got like T-Rexes and Triceratops and all the good ones. And it's funded by Ross Perot, the guy who ran for president, an independent. And there was this moment where the kids were in a playground afterwards, and there were like probably 200 people outside the museum all in this park. But then there was like an Uber pickup area, and there were probably about another 100 people hanging around there. And I just had this moment where I thought, I wonder if there's anyone here with a gun.
Of course there would have been.
Yeah. And in Texas, Dallas, Texas, like the most gun-happy state in the union. But imagine living with that omnipresent sense in your head. Like, how blessed are we as a country? That if you're at the football, you're at the Christmas pageant, you're at any mass public event, or conversely, I reckon that one of the scariest things to do in the States is to go to like a Walmart. Because how often they get shot up?
Yeah, yeah.
Or a DFO. Like, imagine thinking, oh, the kids are going to Harbour Down today. I hope there's not a mass shooting. It's just a weird way to live.
Foreign way of thinking, isn't it? 5AA News is coming up. We'll take you through a wrap of the morning's big stories. A couple of big ones. Some real questions around how home detention is being monitored in South Australia, especially given its prevalence now. We read about it in just about every second sentencing story. Also, AUKUS, where's it at? Big vote in the US, tied up in a massive political debate that's going on there at the moment. What becomes of the deal to build submarines here in Adelaide? That's coming up after the break.
Are you ready for something huge? It's an offer that is unrivaled, unsurpassable, unforgettable. Mawson Lakes Mazda is giving you 3 days, just 3 days to walk in and drive out in your dream Mazda. All makes, all models, all colours, all ready to drive away. This Thursday, Friday and Saturday only. Do not miss this. Mawson Lakes Mazda's unprecedented 3-day sale. On now and Saturday. Salisbury Highway, just a short drive from the city.
More than 17,000 Australians, both young and old, will die from stroke or heart attack caused by hypertension or high blood pressure this coming year. Many could be prevented through early detection, but right now an Adelaide research team is seeking volunteers for a study to trial a potential treatment. If you've been diagnosed with moderate hypertension and you're between 18 and 72, you could be eligible. Go to fusiontrials.com.au/hypertension or call 08 7077 6996. You will be compensated for your time.
How far would you go for your dream kitchen? And how far would you go to get free installation? How about 15 minutes up the freeway to Balhanna Kitchens by Design? 2. The largest showroom in the Adelaide Hills. Custom build your dream with our award-winning designers and get free installation on your cabinets with laminate benchtops. For a limited time, of course. Balhanna Kitchens by Design. It's not too far to go to make your dream a reality. balhannakitchens.com.au.
Let's go.
Let's go?
Yes, the Let's Go Caravan Camping and Outdoor Show is on now, proudly supported by South Australian Tourism Commission.
With over 150 exhibitors with everything from caravans and camper trailers to four-wheel drive camping and outdoor gear, plus demos and entertainment for the whole family, including live shows for the kids over the weekend.
So you'll find everything you need to help get you on your next road trip and outdoor holiday adventure.
Let's go to the Caravan Camping and Outdoor Show. Finishes Sunday at the Adelaide Showground.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 28 today with the 7 o'clock news. Good morning, I'm Graham Goodings.
Chipped windscreen? Complete Windscreens can repair it from just $99. Look for the big red koala.
Gunfire has erupted from the crowd in Kansas City during the Chiefs' Super Bowl victory parade. Local police say several people have been struck. The number of injured is unknown. 2 armed people have been taken into custody. Researchers from the University of SA and the Peter MacCallum Clinic have made a major discovery which could help treat a range of diseases, including many cancers. The team has identified a key to unlocking the next generation of cancer therapeutics. These new treatments will use a new type of ribonucleic acid that can be tailored to treat many cancers, as well as some genetic and neurological diseases. Israel and Lebanon have launched deadly attacks across their border, further intensifying tensions in the region. Europe correspondent Brett McLeod.
A barrage of rockets believed to have been fired by Hezbollah militia in southern Lebanon slammed into an Israeli town, killing a soldier and wounding 8 others. Israel's response to send in its fighter jets, launching a wave of strikes on Hezbollah targets, some deep inside Lebanon. A woman and her 2 children were among the dead, according to local officials. Meantime, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas is calling on Hamas to carry out a hostage release with Israel as soon as possible to spare further catastrophe in Gaza.
A gas bottle has been used during a smash and grab in the CBD. Senior Constable Rebecca Stokes says the Rosemont Hotel on the corner of Hindley and Morford Streets was targeted just after 1:30 this morning.
A man was seen to smash his way into the business with a gas bottle. He entered the building before leaving a short time later with several bottles of alcohol.
A 24-year-old man from Elizabeth Downs was arrested nearby. He'll face court today on several charges. The federal government is spending big to try to sell its new Stage 3 tax cuts. $40 million will go towards a new spin unit and communications expert to educate voters about the benefit of tax reforms. The head of Victoria's largest energy network says he's disappointed at claims dozens of linesmen crucial to fixing damaged power poles destroyed in Tuesday's severe storm refused to answer emergency calls. News Corp is reporting the Electrical Trades Union ordered the workers to turn them off as part of an ongoing campaign for better pay. AusNet Executive General Manager Stephen Neve has told Today the report is a surprise to him and it's sad to hear.
Well, that's obviously not a great situation for anyone here. You know, our job is to try and provide safe, affordable and continuous supply of electricity to customers, and obviously we need, in situations like this, we need all hands on deck to try and get everyone back on supply as soon as possible.
75,000 households and businesses are still without power this morning. Most of those should be reconnected by Saturday, and a few will be waiting into next week. After 25 years, one of Adelaide's most iconic restaurants, Enzo's, is closing down. Owner Enzo Fazzari says after a quarter of a century it was time for a change. But the name will live on in Enzo's home-ready meals. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a new roller door from Gliderroll before February 28 and receive a $100 gift voucher. T's and C's apply.
And now here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Graham. Newly signed Port Adelaide forward Todd Marshall says his body is feeling good after a hip injury caused him issues towards the end of last season. The 25-year-old telling Ryan Timmy G he's going well.
Yeah, hip-wise, hip's good. Going on nearly 5 months post-surgery now, so back into the full swing of things, back into full training.
Marshall has signed a 5-year extension to stay at Alberton. Meantime, it's looking increasingly likely Matthew Nicks will re-sign as coach at West Lakes before the start of the season. To cricket, and the Redbacks have finished their Sheffield Shield, make it their one-day season with a win after taking out the final match of their season. That was against Queensland by 5 wickets. Tom Kelly top scored with 81. Jordan Buckingham took 6 wickets, while Alex Carey took a record 8 catches. Well, administrators are beginning to wind up the Melbourne Rebels. The Age is reporting all staff, including the chief executive, have been made redundant, while coaches have been placed on 4-month contracts to see out the season. Kansas City tight end Travis Kelce admits his spray of coach Andy Reid during the Super Bowl was unacceptable. NRL players are being warned about sex traps and extortion attempts whilst in Las Vegas. Up to 40 security guards will shadow the 4 teams during the week-long build-up in Sin City. And in some tennis, Alex de Minaur won through to the quarterfinals of the Rotterdam Open following a straight sets win against David Goffin. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
When you cover things, they last longer. Same goes for you. Save your skin. Download the SunSmart app.
Crash look out for this morning at Montfort Vale, Beach Road at Main South Road, Burst Watermain at Athelston, Stradbroke Road near Laurel Avenue. Getting busy for works, Winter Garden, St Albans Road and Lagonda Drive, slowing up South Road at Edwardstown with cameras Fisher Street, Malvern and Kings Road at Parafield. Grab a crazy deal on a new LG TV at JB Hi-Fi, like $1,000 off a 65-inch OLED. JB's 2023 LG TV runouts on now. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
And now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
Sunny and 28 today. Tomorrow sunny 31. Saturday sunny again 33. Sunday sunny 35. Right now it's 14. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
Six after 7, good morning to you. Welcome to Thursday. If you're joining us for the first time on this, the 15th of February, the start of a really beautiful run of warm weather. Not too hot today. In fact, if you don't like it being above 30, enjoy today. Because after today, there's no relief in sight for you. But for everyone else, it looks like it's going to be just sensational. Matt Abraham coming up this hour on the program. Out of 10, every time. Dissecting the spin of the week with Matt Abraham. And we'll continue our talk about breakfast cereal that started in the first hour. Because after 8 today, we're celebrating 100 years of Kellogg's. Ben O'Brien, the Senior Director at Kellanova, which is the parent company now, will be joining us to talk about what is a pretty remarkable legacy for a food that was designed to be bland. It started out in 1924 as a part of a bland diet that one of the Kellogg brothers was advocating.
Anything but that now. One of the foods that's most in the crosshairs of the nutritionists. Wouldn't pass muster for the new tuck shop guidelines, would it?
Certainly wouldn't.
We should
be banished from all schools.
What is it? Buckwheat.
I think the
buckwheat and tofu.
The new guidelines may have been devised by J.H. Kellogg in 1924.
Oh, he'd love it.
He would think they're great.
No sausage rolls, no pies, no pasties.
Those. Did we get to the bottom what the name was of the honey and cornflake in a muffin style cup? What do you call that?
I think they're called honey crackles.
Honey crackles. Are they?
Correct me if I'm wrong, folks.
Are they?
I'd call it a honey crackle.
Are they an Australian invention?
I think so.
Are we the only country that's used...
Like the stump jump plough?
Yeah.
The Xerox machine? The Hills hoist?
The Hills hoist.
Yeah, I think we invented them.
I think we did. And the cornflake cookie. Are we the only country that's used cornflakes for more than just, pouring milk on them?
Oh, I think the Americans probably would.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was about to make a grand statement, but
baking's not my strong suit, though, mate.
I'll hold back. All right, let's get into some of the news of the day, starting with the front page of the Advertiser. I think everyone should give this a read this morning. We talk a lot about bail. We talk a lot about people being held awaiting trial, or indeed the conditions of their release after trial, and increasingly hearing about home detention. So it's fascinating to get an insight into how home detention works. It doesn't work how you think it does. According to the Tiser, South Australians are being put at risk from criminals flouting their home detention conditions, amid claims that authorities are failing to properly respond to overnight breaches. So according to people within corrections who have spoken to the Advertiser, breaches are increasingly responded to late or not at all because the Correctional Services Department has no compliance staff on the road between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. So what they do have is people sitting in the office monitoring, but the people that go out and check and find out where you are and what the hell you're doing, well, they're not on overnight. What they do is call police. According to the Tiser's reporting, well, police are so overstretched.
What are they meant to do about it?
Sometimes they don't have the resources to be going to go and do these checkups. There are upwards of 1,100 accused or convicted perpetrators who are electronically monitored as part of their bail or community-based order.
It says here the Advertiser's been told that police are called several times each week, but due to their own workload, are increasingly unable to attend incidents. Proposals to roster mobile teams on overnight shifts have been met with safety concerns because DCS officers are unarmed and do not wear body cameras. Apparently the union, the PSA, has raised these kinds of staffing issues with corrections over a long period of time, and they're quoted in the paper as saying the community at large must not be put at risk due to short-sighted staffing decisions by the department. I think everyone would totally agree with that. Bizarre.
So you've been deemed serious enough that you have a means by which your whereabouts are monitored all the time. Yet there's an 8-hour window where if you go and do something wrong, or sometimes the batteries run flat, right? Sometimes it's nothing. Be nice to have someone who can go and check, though.
Yeah, exactly. And see, the thing is, that's the story on page 3. I'm just trying to find. I only read it online. The same day that story has been published, there's a piece about this absolute shocking sex creep who dragged some girl into a public toilet. He's now done his time. There's a bloke who, for a previous offence against a child, he got a $100 good behaviour bond. $100. How about that? Loose change. But this bloke's about to get let out, and the reassurance is, well, the state government's saying, the Attorney General was saying that they're looking at ways to monitor him. Well, hopefully the ways to monitor him aren't the ones that are currently being done by DCS, because it doesn't instill much confidence, does it? And again, the poor old cleaner of the hotel who ended up bumping into Mr. recently released asylum seeker, you know, how was the monitoring working for her? Yeah. Not very well, you'd have to say. It seems to be a real who's on first scenario where some of this is police business, some of this is corrections, some of it's done by private companies for immigration, you know, and everyone's sort of going, oh, I thought you had that one. Well, it's a total shambles.
This is a classic, let's not let the disaster happen before it gets fixed story.
Yeah, completely.
Let's not have someone get killed or attacked or assaulted.
Yeah.
This, you can see the freight train coming. We're going to speak with corrections after 8:30 today on this. We will revisit the news wrap in a moment. Emma in Littlehampton's called into the program. Emma, good morning to you.
Morning, fellas. How are we?
We're very
thanks,
well, Emma.
Good. Just ringing in relation to your Kellogg's and your cornflakes and your honey little snacks.
Yes. Yeah.
Other than it being a honey crackle, it's a honey joy.
Honey Joy.
Honey Joy.
That's a nice
Honey
name
Joy.
for it.
Yeah.
Honey Joy.
I like Honey Joy
Definitely
better
the
than Honey
perfect party treat for any party.
Yeah, it's good. It's always made for kids, but I always steal one because I think they're sensational.
Yeah, no, they're terrific.
Thank you for that, Emma.
Vastly superior to the chocolate crackle.
Let's go over to the US. There's a story that's the biggest. It's the biggest story in US politics right now that has major ramifications for jobs, employment, and the economy of South Australia. The US Senate passed what is a $95 billion US, about $150 billion Australian national security bill on Wednesday. That included $3.4 billion US needed to fast-track submarine production. Now, that's important to help us be able to purchase US nuclear subs. It's the first stage of AUKUS. They won't sell us subs unless they can build enough that mean they've got their full complement. This is hugely important. This kickstarts the entire process. However, going through the Senate is only one chamber of Congress in the United States. You need to get it through the House of Representatives, and Republican Speaker Mike Johnson is saying he's going to block this massive defense bill.
Much more has to be done, of course, to secure the border, and what the Senate produced this week is silent on that issue. Senator McConnell and I have spoken about this in frank sessions, and let me be clear here again this morning. The Republican-led House will not be jammed or forced into passing a foreign aid bill that was opposed by most Republican senators and does nothing to secure our own border.
I want to trade it off against border restrictions. Doesn't seem like the two sides are particularly close to any resolution. There was something floated last week that had some Republicans on board, but certainly not the bulk. And so our little piece of, $3.4 billion out of a $95 billion bill is loose change, but hugely important to not just industry in South Australia, but the defence of our country. And it's currently tied up in this giant fight that's going on. Have a listen to Democrat Congressman Joe Courtney.
Failure to pass this legislation is a vote against AUKUS and limits the outstanding progress that our nations have already made. Mr. Speaker, I implore Speaker Johnson to bring the bill to the floor. There are over 300 votes, we know that, today, to get this package through and help our friends who are desperately looking to America for global and national security leadership.
All this speculation must be doing people's heads in locally, the people who work in defence. And, you'd have to put the Premier as well into the mix. When are we going to be put out of our misery about what's going on with the frigates?
Next week. Next week, the surface review will be released.
So that will be the Department of Defence handing a report to the Defence Minister, Richard Marles.
They got an independent, they got a former retired US Admiral to do a review. What does Australia need in terms of its surface fleet? So there've been all these sort of piecemeal approach by saying, we need air warfare destroyers and we'll get some of these anti-submarine frigates. They've said, listen, we now have nuclear subs in the mix. What do we actually need for the next 50-odd years? So they've brought in the retired US Admiral to do a review.
How does that play, though, as a political promise that Anthony Albanese made ahead of the last election of the people of South Australia? Well, because I can remember going to one of those Tizer events, the Bigger and Better South Australia, and he was talking about defence. Pretty sure it was prior to the election. Well, there was some event I heard him speaking at in Adelaide where he was basically saying that the Hunter program, that Labor was 100% on board. As described, which was, 15 boats, wasn't it?
9 boats, I think.
Oh, sorry, 9.
Nine originally.
But now...
They've got 3 that are already in the development stage that you can't really cancel.
I don't even know how Peter Malinauskas gets away, as he said on our show, with saying, we'll be happy with 6.
Well, it was interesting. His language has changed in the Tizer, I noted this morning, compared to when he spoke with us. He was saying you need to be minimum 6. He's now saying, I don't care if it's 6, 9, whatever, we need a continuous build, which actually made me wonder. There's a suggestion that one of the recommendations of the report is going to be a boat that's bigger than the offshore patrol vessels, of which we've got heaps, and smaller than the frigates that we're going to build 20-odd of. They're going to be corvettes. Whether we get fewer frigates and we start doing some of these things, and that represents a continuous build program.
So you think the fact that he changed his language suggests that he might know something?
It made me wonder, given the timing of all this.
Small ones, like little runabouts, sort of thing Matt Abraham takes out to get the wire.
Well, the offshore patrol vessels with that small corvettes will be a little bit more heavily armed, and they're more significant vessels, not as big as the air warfare destroyers or the frigates. But, I just thought it was interesting when he started saying, well, we're not about the number, we're about a continuous build program. So does that mean that we'll be disappointed with the frigates announcement, but there might be something coming? Not sure.
Yeah, just everyone currently standing in the tea room at whatever defence company they're working for. I reckon they'd just be going, this is stressful for us.
There was another model that we've spoken about in the past that basically is Hunter gets continued, but there are 2 different types of frigates that get designed. One is for the original anti-submarine warfare purpose, and the other one becomes more of a missile frigate. So they add some cells to it and do some other bits and pieces, but repurpose them. So there's a few options there.
It all blues into one in my mind. I can never remember what we're meant to be building.
I read a lot of submarine books as a kid. You got to remember that. Over in Victoria, when the power's going to be back on for about 100,000 homes is the big story there, with the fallout from the storms, and of course they had the bushfires that they were battling yesterday as well. Here's Rick Nugent, the Emergency Management Commissioner, and Daniel Westerman from AEMO on the Today Show a little bit earlier.
The storms were the most destructive in years and years.
This is not about the transmission line. This is about trees down on roads, trees down on power lines.
I'll tell you what, they look like the transmission lines. Those things crumple. They like alfoil, those things.
Yeah, they do, don't they? When they go down, they really go down.
They crumple. 6 of them went down.
Yeah,
They look like they've been stomped on by Godzilla.
Japanese disaster.
What do they
films.
make these things out of?
Godzilla versus Megalon. What about the other one? Mothra.
Yeah.
You ever see that? The radioactive
I haven't seen
moth?
it, but they're all
Yeah.
sort of
They're
figments
pretty
of Japanese.
important part of Japanese cultural
They are.
history because it's post Hiroshima and Nagasaki cinema.
Mm.
You know, and you see how just after those two outrages, how that became such a part of the Japanese psyche.
8223000 is our number. You can text us on the Duntons text line. Big 10 Ford, GW Haval, Hyundai, Isuzu, Ute, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Nissan, Ram, Subaru, Volkswagen. Duntons, easy to do business with, or jump on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live.
They are Honey Joys. We've had
Honey Joys.
emphatic messaging from Carolyn in Greenock, Mimi as well. A whole bunch of keen bakers have declared that the...
I confess, I'd only heard of Honey Crackle before, but I like Honey Joy better.
Honey Joy. Yeah, Honey Joy. Sounds like a drag queen, doesn't it? Up next, Honey Joy. Woohoo! Anyway.
All right, let's
over to Will.
Hey, look, how you spend your time's your business. Let's check traffic. When the UV is 3 and above, cover up, use sun protection, stay SunSmart. Download the SunSmart app.
Thanks, Will. At Athelston, burst water main today, Straybroke Road near Laurel Avenue. Works at Glenside, Fullerton Road near Mulberry Road. Bit sluggish at Windvale at the moment, the Golden Way near Grenfell Road. And we are slow going South Road, Thepperton, heading into the city. Got cameras today, Kings Road, Parafield and the North-South Motorway, Waterloo Corner. GWM's 2023 plate clearance is on now with great deals on brand new selected models starting from $25,990 drive away. Hurry in, don't miss out. GWM, go with more. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Matthew Pantelis.
I want to talk about trees. In the wake of the tragedy in the parklands, there have been more near misses since. Now, you can't get rid of every tree, and neither should we try. But there is a case for common sense. And courts and councils just don't get it.
Weekday mornings from 9.
It's up to councils to put people first. First, before the tree. Whatever you got to do, keep people safe. It's just common sense, for goodness sake.
On 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
If you're fed up with dentures and failing teeth, Next Smile Australia can help. When you choose All on 4 from Next Smile Australia, you're choosing the gold standard of permanent functional teeth. You're choosing a clinically proven 98% success rate. You're choosing 4 decades of experience from Australia's leading All on 4 surgeons. Get the smile of your life in as little as 1 day at Next Smile Australia. Book a complimentary consultation at nextsmile.com.au.
Afternoon Aldi shoppers, this is a message for Kate Hassler in aisle 3. Hey, we know you see other supermarkets.
What? You do?
Yeah, it's cool. Really. Go get that smoked herring paste next door.
You're just saying that.
Nah, I mean it. But you'll save more if you shop at Aldi first.
You'll always be my first shop.
We love you.
What about me?
We love you too, Pete. Aldi. Good. Different.
Get obsessed with the Honda SUV range at Formula Honda, Modbury and Glen Osmond. Whether it's the compact HRV, the sporty mid-sized Honda ZR-V, or the spacious CR-V. And for a limited time, new Honda SUVs come with a 7-year warranty, 7-year roadside assist, and 5 standard low-price services at $199 each. Visit Formula Honda, Modbury or Glen Osmond and test drive today. Vehicles used for a commercial purpose have a 7-year or 200,000-kilometre warranty, whichever occurs first. T's and C's at honda.com.au.
UniSuper is open for every Australian to join. With great long-term performance, low fees and 40 years of knowledge, UniSuper makes it easier to shape brighter futures with more for tomorrow. Aim higher with award-winning super and see a future worth retiring for at unisuper.com.au. Look forward. Think great. Past performance is not an indicator of future performance. Consider UniSuper's PDS and TMD on its website before making decisions.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Coming up to 24 minutes after 7. Good interview last night. You go back and have a listen to it on the 5AA podcast, wherever you, the 5AA Sports Show podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from. Rowing Timmy G caught up with John Olsen, Adelaide Football Club chairman. Get $10 off your favourite cut of steak Thursdays at the Excelsior Hotel. Just know it's a Barreau hotel. They started talking about the continual cost blowout with the Thebarton Oval redevelopment, and the fact that this is an issue that seems to just go on and on and on.
I remember interviewing you some time ago, John. You said every month that this is drawn out will cost us $1 million. So what's the end figure now? What's the blowout? Can you afford it?
It's a little over $100 million at the moment. God. And yes, we can afford it, but we cannot afford for this matter to be delayed for an extended period and further cost escalations. If I compare it to Brisbane and West Coast Eagles, their facilities cost about $70 million. And we're in the $100 million category. So we're checking our cost escalation all the time in this process, repeatedly, just to make sure, to your point, Rowie, that at the end of the day, we can afford to proceed with the build.
This is a bit of a sneak preview of some of the themes that we're going to tease out during Breaking at 8. The doors of the Adelaide Crows headquarters could almost have been opened by now on the old Adelaide Aquatic Centre site. That club wasted 2 to 3 years of its existence. I don't even know if he's still in Adelaide, but the former CEO, Andrew Fagan, going back and forth, cheek by jowl, wasting his life thinking you could ever deal in a straight way with the Adelaide City Council. And if you did an actual news poll, ask people from South Australia, including Port supporters, do you think the Adelaide Crows deserve a headquarters, and do you think that it should be near the Adelaide Oval, near the city? I reckon 80% of South Australians would have said, yep, maybe more. But all that money, the $30 million differential between Brisbane and West Coast, you can blame that on the local government sector. You can blame it on the glacier-like nonsense we've seen in the western suburbs over this proposal, but you can blame the fact that the best idea, which was the co-located rebuild, and those half-wits at the Adelaide City Council, every month they get a bill for the maintenance of that clapped-out pool that's now being paid for by the South Australian taxpayers anyway. Like, they had the best plan in front of them. There would have been the best one for the fans, best one for the players, and the best one for the community, because they would have had access to a brand new pool. And, you know, that's a $30 million price tag you can put on local government toing and froing.
Yeah, it is, and the whole Adelaide headquarters story is good. It's a good story because it's not just it's actually not about the Adelaide Football Club. No, it's about trying to get things done in South Australia, and they just happen to be the highest profile example of how hard it is. How hard it is to fight local government. How hard it is to fight these local councils that have these intractable ideological opposition to anything actually ever happening.
Or they're so bogged down in process that the fact that 14 people turn up in their ponchos going, I've just identified a tree that's going to get chopped down, they'll go, all right, well, come on in, put some time in the diary for that one. Well, and, you know, the squeaky wheel has run the show.
Yeah.
And it's just bad for the city, and I don't know why it's probably because everybody wants to hold the seat of Adelaide, but no one in politics has got the balls to actually stand up and do anything about it. Because, you know, Ian McLaughlin should really be the ultimate arbiter of all of these things, because, you know, when the Adelaide Oval upgrade happened, McLaughlin's great words were, if I knew from the start that for this project to succeed, it could have absolutely nothing to do with the Adelaide City Council. And he just froze them out of the entire process. But what we're seeing here with all of this continuing blancmange of nothing happening is just pedantry on steroids.
We'll have more to say about this in Breaking at 8 this morning. 5AA News is coming up. Then we're rating spin and dissecting the last week in politics with Matt Abraham.
Is your bloated belly making you feel fat and miserable? Introducing new Caruso's Bloaties. Caruso's Bloaties contains peppermint and ginger, which are traditionally used in Western herbal medicine to relieve belly bloating, plus digestive enzymes to help your body digest lactose and fat. So if you're fed up with your bloated belly making you feel fat and miserable, try Caruso's Bloaties today. Caruso's Bloaties is available from leading pharmacies and health stores. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
It all started in the back shed. Maybe it started early. Or late. Either way, the Olympic Industries sale means there's no need to wait. With big savings on our entire range of SA-engineered sheds, garages, carports and verandas, you can afford to start something big, tough, or tasty in your own backyard. Start something with the Olympic Industries sale. On now.
Experience the great outdoors in absolute class and style in a new My Dream RV caravan from Destiny RVSA.
The folks at Destiny RVSA are excited to showcase the full range of the show-stopping My Dream RV caravans. These vans are like nothing you've ever seen before. They're full off-road and aerodynamically designed to carve through freeway wind resistance. In fact, they're an absolute dream to tow, and that's why they're a Caravan of the Year 2023 finalist.
My Dream RV caravans are exclusive to Destiny RVSA, and right now you can take advantage of some fantastic introductory offers.
Don't miss your opportunity to live a dream come true in a My Dream RV caravan, exclusive to Destiny RVSA. Call in and see the full range from cruisers to off-road today. You'll find them on North East Road, Valley View, or jump online at destinyrvsa.com.au.
When you're a market-leading builder like Regent Homes, you never rest on your laurels. It's why Regent Homes is South Australia's only builder offering 3D virtual reality technology in their Envision Design Studio. At your first design meeting, you'll walk through your home in virtual reality. It's a wow moment, enriching your experience so you can make the right design choices from the start. Regent Homes. Innovative design, elevated living. Visit regenthomes.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 28 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Graham Goodings.
From chips to replacements, make Complete Windscreens your insurer repairer of choice. CompleteWindscreens.com.au.
Gunfire has erupted in Kansas City during the Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade. US correspondent Jonathan Kersley has the latest.
We now know that there are multiple victims from this shooting. Multiple shots had been heard ringing out, and it was already a very heavy police presence and security presence inside the area of where this parade had been taking place. Now they are trying to get victims out. We've seen ambulances arriving on the scene, taking people away on stretchers. You can see the panic there from people who were running away from this shooting as it unfolded. This had been a joyous day for the Kansas City fans. There were perhaps hundreds of thousands of people on the streets there. It had been estimated that potentially 1 million people could be attending this parade, and police very quickly moved in to try and locate exactly what they were looking for.
2 armed people have been taken into custody. There's been a cafe fire at Lonsdale. The alarm was raised on O'Sullivan Beach Road just before 5 a.m. A jerry can had been thrown through the front window of the building. The building sustained minor fire and smoke damage. Crime scene officers will attend later this morning. 5 telcos that send out mass text messages on behalf of other businesses have been breaching the scam code. The Australian Communication and Media Authority has found they failed to comply with multiple anti-scam public safety rules. ACMA's Samantha York says more than 2 million impersonation scams have been sent to Australian mobile phones.
We're not aware of anybody losing any money, but we have determined that 2 of the companies in particular, Message for You and SMS Broadcast, each allowed over 1.2 million scam SMS messages to be sent to Australians.
The number of international students being rejected from Australian universities has reached a record high. The federal government is ranking tertiary institutions based on the likelihood that they'll recruit students for work rather than study. Applicants from India, Nepal and Pakistan are the worst affected. More questions are being raised about Australia's transition to renewable energy after a power outage. 100,000 homes and businesses are still without power 2 days after storms tore down transmission towers in Victoria. Nationals MP Keith Pitt says Energy Minister Chris Bowen needs to visit the state.
Well, I think he should be down there having a look at reality. There's lots of Australians, those in Victoria, who are going to be short on electricity. I think the ones who've still got gas connected to their houses will be very happy. They can at least cook and they'll probably have hot water. But as you know, Victoria has had prohibition on gas exploration for 10 years.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a new roller door from Glider Roll before February 28 and receive a $100 gift voucher. T's and C's apply.
Good morning, Tom Wren.
Good morning, Graham. Let's start with a little bit of footy. The Crows will head to Port Lincoln today ahead of tomorrow's internal trial match there. It is looking increasingly likely Matthew Nicks will re-sign as coach before the start of the season, although no time frame has been set. Port Adelaide will hold its season launch and Hall of Fame dinner tonight at Adelaide Oval. They've also got an internal tomorrow at Alberton. Meantime, Collingwood Premiership defender Nathan Murphy has ruled himself out of the Pies pre-season and match simulation. The 24-year-old was cleared by the AFL's concussion board in December. He insists he's not contemplating retirement.
I had a really good assessment with the panel, and they're the professionals in this area, so I trust their opinion. I've had a really good process with this club as well, so right now I know where I'm at. I know I'm healthy, as I said. I know I'm in a really good spot. It's just probably more a frame of mind sort of decision at the moment.
The Redbacks have won their final one-day of the season, taking care of Queensland by 5 wickets. Chasing 219 to win, SA got it done in the 45th over. Tom Kelly top-scored with an impressive 81 off only 66 balls, while Jordan Buckingham took career best figures of 6 for 41, and Alex Carey took a world record equalling 8 catches for the innings. To golf, Adam Scott's ruling himself out of representing Australia at this year's Paris Olympics.
It's not really my priority for the year. I'm an older guy now with family, and I spend a lot of time away from them, and it's not really on my radar, so I don't think I'll be there.
And Graham, that is the 5AA Sport.
Thanks, Tom. Now looking at 5AA traffic.
When you cover things, they last longer. Same goes for you. Save your skin. Download the SunSmart app.
G'day there at Athelston. Look out for a burst water main today, Stradbroke Road near Laurel Avenue. Also got works at Windsor Gardens, St Olds Road near Lagonda Drive, slow at Glenside, Fullerton Road near Mulberry Road, getting busy South Road, Edwardstown, also Brighton Road, Brighton, with the camera main North Road at Salisbury Plain. Beaumont's clearance outlet is being demolished, so are the prices in their final ever demo sale, with second grade tiles from $10 a square metre. Hurry into Beaumont's Richmond today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
And now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
Blue skies ahead. Sunny and 28 today. Tomorrow, sunny 31. Saturday, sunny 33. Even warmer Sunday, sunny 35. Right now, it's 15. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
24 to 8, lots of celebration of the cornflakes still coming through on the Dutton's text line, indeed on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream. We'll be chatting with Ben O'Brien from Kellanova after 8 o'clock on 100 years of Kellogg's this year. The federal member for Grey will be joining us, Rowan Ramsey, and also we're going to chat with someone from Corrections about this story regarding ankle bracelet monitoring that seems to clock off at 11 p.m. through 7 a.m.
More of a trust system.
Yeah, at that point in time.
Now. Don't do anything silly. We're just having a bit of a kip.
Well, because, crims keep business hours, don't they?
That's right, exactly. 9 to 5, rule 9 to 5 routine.
We'll try to get to the bottom of that one after 8:30 for you. Right now, it's time to talk politics with Matt Abraham.
Matthew Abraham on 5AA Breakfast.
Good morning to you, Matt.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, David. And welcome to Lent, the 40 days of Lent.
You follow Lent? You're a...
do I follow?
Is that what...
Observe.
Clearly.
Observe Lent.
My lack of religious training really showing through there.
Well, I didn't realise we were talking there. Apparently you don't give things up for Lent anymore.
We don't. Yes. Traditionally, when you're a kid, having it literally beaten into you at school. Literally. Thank you to the nuns and brothers. Yes, you were meant to give up, whatever.
Give up chocolate or something.
Pretty easy when I was a kid because we didn't get chocolate. We're too poor. But
we had it tough.
Oh, we had it tough. Just a lick rolled clean with tongue. No, but it is a time of, I suppose, abstinence, but really of reflection. So how you're going as an individual, as a human being. And how you could improve yourself, and what you can do for others. That's meant to be the focus of Lent. And yesterday was Ash Wednesday, where those who do observe Lent get ashes on the forehead, a cross. You go to Mass, you don't need to go to Mass to get the ashes, and they're the ashes from the palms. But one of the things I did find... Did I find it offensive? Actually, I've thought about it and I thought, yeah, I did find it really offensive, actually, is that the fringe, which I find a totally hedonistic, godless sort of bacchanal in Adelaide, I just find it really weird, actually. I mean, the fringe has sort of become really soft porn, hasn't it? Like a festival of soft porn with a bit of stand-up comedy thrown in. And so it's running through, it's sort of coinciding with, I know I'm sounding like a wowser here, but it's coinciding with Lent. That's fine. You don't expect them to put it off for a Christian sort of 40 days. But to have the inflatable church launched, really, on Ash Wednesday, which is a very solemn day for Christians, Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. They're the serious days for Christians, not sort of so much Easter Sunday and Christmas. But really, for Christian followers, Lent is the big deal. It's that time of that observance, I suppose. And to have an inflatable church which has got a lot going on in it, priests prancing around in budgie smugglers, from the video I've seen anyway, I found it offensive. And
Was it deliberately launched on? Yeah.
Well, either the organisers are totally oblivious to Ash Wednesday.
And you'd imagine they would be, given their...
Well, are they? Or is it... This is a bit of fun.
I think it'd be indifference.
I don't know. Was it deliberate or is it indifference? Either way.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it, that at a time when we are so much more politically correct about being inclusive and respectful towards other faiths.
Yeah, not for Christians.
No, the one faith where you can go your hardest, and it's often the arts that does it. I mean, there was that furor in, I think it was 1996, when the Adelaide Festival poster was an Orthodox icon of the Virgin Mary playing the piano accordion. And around that same time, there was an installation by an artist that all these skivvy-wearing half-wits thought was making some powerful point, that was called Piss Christ.
Yes, of a crucifix in a big glass jar of urine.
Yeah.
Human urine, yeah.
Yeah. I can remember interviewing John Howard about it when he was Prime Minister for the Tiser. The paper ran a piece under the headline, PM's Art Attack, and he made a very good point. I'm not a religious person, but he said, it does seem to be that the only religion you're allowed to sneer at and mock is Christianity. If you'd tried that with Islam, you'd be dragged to the Human Rights Commission.
Well, if you had...
Well, you wouldn't do it in the first place.
If you had a blow-up mosque...
Because you wouldn't want to offend anybody.
If you had a blow-up mosque...
It's true.
Where's the blow-up mosque?
With imams, running around in budgie smugglers. You'd get a whole new meaning to the word blow-up, I think. And I'll just leave it.
Well, you would.
You would. But maybe it's a great strength, really, now of Christianity that we go, okay, it's
where's Life of Brian fit on this quantum?
Well, that's. There is a Rowan Atkinson sketch where he's a devil welcoming different categories of people to hell. And
not about the line about atheists.
And yes, and
you must be feeling a right bunch of Charlies.
And when he says, all those who've seen the Life of Brian, and he says, no, he doesn't have a sense of humour. So I've never... I'm sure it's... The Vatican has actually said, because they do have their own movie reviewers and all this sort of stuff, I know they've also got their own observatory, but they've said it's okay to watch The Life of Brian. Not that you need permission.
Really? The Vatican's passed judgment on the Life of Brian. I did not realise that.
Not at papal level. But, they've got to go down a little
in the movie review section.
Leonard Maltzan in the Vatican.
But I've never watched it all the way through. Still, and that's just a result of a 50s childhood. Sort of being overburdened with guilt about religion.
I think it's a really clever movie about following. I don't think it's like they use the story of Christ as the vehicle, which I guess is the problem for some religious people. But it's a funny story about following. I think. But I guess for people of faith, they might say, well, where's the joke in following? maybe the joke's on you for not following.
But I don't think your upset is misplaced in this whole thing, because whilst I think we all on one hand acknowledge that we live in a liberal democracy where you've got freedom of speech and you're going to be offended and things happening, it just doesn't seem like free speech is doled out in equal measure.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. There's some things we need to tiptoe around, and there are some things you just got to just wear it.
The other thing that is infuriating is it seems to be the people that do the most of the lecturing and do the most of the tiptoeing are also the ones that are happy to blithely trample over any Christian tradition or make a mockery of it.
Exactly.
Well, I think the greatest point of middle-class sort of progressive discomfort was the Charlie Hebdo massacre, where there was this sort of mealy-mouthed, well, this is terribly sad for those people, but some of those cartoons were quite distressing, and in a sort of inclusive...
They were asking for it, the sort of thing they were asking for it, sort of thing.
Well, always, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be that rude.
We've got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
But you can put a crucifix in a vat of urine, and that's art.
Yeah, correct.
Anyway.
Fair enough. 16 to 8, we might take a quick break. We'll check traffic and come back with some politics.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We should come back with some politics.
The politics of the arts.
That was an
the politics of politics.
Brother Matthew.
Brother Matthew.
When the UV is 3 and above, cover up your sun protection. Stay SunSmart. Download the SunSmart app.
Thanks, Will. Burst water main to look out for today at Athelston, Stradbroke Road near Laurel Avenue. Getting busy in a few spots on the drive-in, Main North Road at Enfield, the Port of Expressway at Port Adelaide. Got some road plates in New South Road at Tonsley. That's a bit sluggish too. And you'll find cameras Kings Road, Parafield and Majors Road at O'Halloran Hill. It's not any time. It's one day only for 24 hours. Join Anytime Fitness with a $0 joining fee. Wednesday, February 21. Search Anytime Fitness for more. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hi, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, the Lynn Andrews team have made it easy for landlords to manage residential and commercial property. From single homes to multiple commercial holdings, our passion for property investment means we have a great deal of knowledge. How to do it safely and properly, matching the right tenant with the right property every time. We're here to help you. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth the trip, and now there's Barossa Mazda, Murray Street, Nuriapa. SA's newest Mazda dealership is now open. For 40 years, Steinborner has provided South Australians with outstanding customer service, exceptional value, and a large selection of new, used, and demo vehicles. The Steinborner story continues with the opening of their new state-of-the-art Mazda dealership in Barossa Valley. Barossa Mazda. It's well worth the trip. barossamazda.com.au.
A trip to Adelaide Appliance Gallery is like visiting an art exhibition. Just seeing the huge range of big-name appliances on display. It's like walking through the Louvre in Paris.
Glad you had to pronounce that word, Will. I would have been...
Lucy's shaking her head.
I tell you what, though, no, she's very upset with that pronunciation. Now, look, I know art when I see it. We went to the Adelaide Appliance Gallery last week, and it is, I've got to say, the range of stuff that they've got is absolutely superb. I'm talking to them at the moment about getting a new Miele oven after my old one conked out. Now, you won't find the Mona Lisa there, but you will find a brilliant team dedicated to making your life easier. They've got the best advice, best appliances, the best offers on SMEG. Plus, you can save up to 15% with special discounts on fridges, cookers, dishwashers, and more.
They're like alchemists too, the way they work on all the chemicals and how the machines work and pulling them apart. And it's unbelievable, that place. It's a workshop. You don't need to do a degree in dishwasher, go on an oven odyssey, or even make a pilgrimage up Mount Washing Machine. Just simply drop into Adelaide Appliance Gallery. Make your life easier with up to 15% off SMEG products at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, Paynham Road, St. Peters.
NRG Solar have moved to a new location. It's bigger and better, and their new warehouse is fully stocked with wholesale solar and battery equipment. So, if you're looking to save money on electricity and help our environment, don't wait. Visit NRG Solar at their new office on South Road, St Mary's, where every 3 customers refer someone they know, which means they must be doing something right. Call into NRG Solar at their new premises, 1275 South Road, or visit nrgsolar.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
12 to 8, talking politics with Matt Abraham.
Out of 10.
we weren't before, but we will now.
We kind of were.
We sort of
Yeah,
were.
sorta were.
Big picture, macro.
Yeah.
Thank you for
sort of
indulging me.
sense. No, that's fine. What about the micro?
Yes, well, we should have a look at the frigate program. These are the Hunter class frigates, and the moving sort of chairs on this, shifting the deck chairs around, because the same department that sort of signed off on this as a good idea is now saying it's not a good idea. It's the Department of Defence and the Navy. The federal government, which inherited this from the Morrison government, is looking at, well, is listening, I suppose, to the criticisms of the Hunter project. The big deal for Adelaide is we were going to get 9 frigates, 9 of these Hunter-class frigates, which was going to last us for quite a long time, effectively taking us into the alleged AUKUS submarine build, which won't happen. But the Premier, Peter Malinauskas...
You've been talking to Alexander Downer.
Peter Malinauskas, he went to Canberra with some of the BAE Systems workers, shipyard workers. He has to make an effort on this, because if this gets scaled back, and it is going to be scaled back, I mean, if you can see that in the tea leaves now, then that is going to be a big problem for Adelaide in terms of our shipbuilding, the continuous shipbuild program. Originally, we were told nothing less than 9 ships. That's what we were promised. That's what we want to get. Earlier, the Premier said nothing less than 6 ships, 6 frigates would qualify as a continuous shipbuild. Paul Starrick's got great coverage of this. He's been covering it for the Tiser. In his piece on it today, he says, asked on Monday if anything less than 9 frigates would be a failure. Premier Peter Malinauskas said, I don't want 9 ships, I don't want 12 or 15. What I want is a continuous shipbuild in South Australia forevermore. That's the promise this federal government has made. Well, there's got to be a number. And previously the Premier was saying that 6 ships counted as a continuous build.
He's changed. I thought that was notable.
Well,
Yes.
Will was saying earlier, he reckons Mally might be in the know that there's something else in the pipeline next week, and they might be building other types of ships.
There's no doubt. Just looking at how, I mean, it's a federal Labor government, it's a state Labor government. Okay, so...
Yeah, they're not going to be shafting each other.
I don't think he even flies over there in the first place.
No, he wouldn't.
If they say on the quiet, it's going to be 3, and you're going to be happy with it. I don't think he makes a song and dance about going over there.
There would have been 100% hand on heart. There would have been a phone call, probably a personal phone call from Peter Malinauskas to Richard Marles, and he would have said, hey, mate, am I going to look like an idiot if I do this?
Yep.
And the answer, presumably, would have been, no, mate, you'll be all
We'll look after you.
Yeah.
This is the way these things work.
Now, if that conversation didn't happen, this could be one of the greatest cock-ups in political history.
Peter Malinauskas is a smooth operator with this stuff. He knows he's not going to stick his neck out in the hope that somehow the federal government is going to say, yeah, okay, 9 frigates because Adelaide, South Australia matters, when really, in terms of the federal election, it doesn't matter at all in terms of votes. It's not going to be Albanese and Dutton aren't going to be fighting over a seat in South Australia when the big game's in Queensland, particularly, and New South Wales. But so, yeah, you're quite right. That at some level, and probably maybe even those exact words, that conversation would have taken place.
Yeah.
Unless Peter Malinauskas has abandoned the armoury of political skills that he's demonstrated he has up until this point.
I'd put the question mark over Richard Marles and say maybe, given their recent form, maybe Marles just lied to him and said, no, don't worry
should be
about
right.
it. Yeah, no, we promised that one.
Then yesterday said, oh, hang on, which ships did you want?
Yeah.
No,
Oh, those ships.
Oh, no. Okay, well.
Oh, those tax
You'll
cuts.
be getting ships.
Yeah, that's right. That negative gearing.
Well,
you
do have to wonder about Richard Marles as a negotiator, because Peter Malinauskas pulled off what I regard as one of the great property deals of all time in swapping swampland down there, Osborne, for the Keswick Army Barracks.
Good
So
trade.
he said to the Commonwealth, you give us the Keswick Army Barracks and we'll give you a couple of acres of busted ass, sort of probably polluted
I'll give
bog.
you...
And Miles said, you beauty, we'll take that one.
I'll give you Old Kent Road with one house on it if you give me Mayfair
Mayfair
and Park Lane.
with 5 hotels on it. Now, that deal, by the way, and Miles is in the mug. He'd know what was going on down there. That is part of the sort of cozying up, buddying up to South Australia, softening the blow of what will be a rollback of the Hunter frigate. So it's highly likely, as you said, and as you've said, that there will be not 9 frigates, maybe not 6, but maybe less than that in South Australia. But there'll be compensation.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's a big army units moving in here, or whether we're going to build these speedboats with machine guns on them, which are going to fill the gap against the 370 Chinese frigates. I'm willing to offer the Stacer, the Tinny. There'll be a compensation, because if not, they will have made a huge enemy in Peter Malinauskas. And I know we don't count sort of in terms of seat counts, but the last thing Anthony Albanese needs is Peter Malinauskas as his enemy.
Yeah, because I reckon there's already a private view within state Labor that the Albanese government's kind of hopeless, and you wouldn't want those sentiments to be made public.
No.
Yeah.
I like the image of Matt Dunkirk style contributing to the defence of Australia. I'm just trying to get my head around that at the moment. I mean, that's quite
sounds like an ISIS highlight.
I can get quite a few tinnies together at short notice. Pirate Pete, he'll get the bar crusher fired up for it.
The People's Liberation Army are listening, and I think they're just going to hold off plans. Now we got some,
did to all those fish.
We got some spin to rain.
5 to 10 out of 10 every time.
Now this is in 2 parts, and coincidentally there is a religious element. But this is the first part. Now this is Treasurer Jim. This is Adam Band, leader of the Greens, responding to Treasurer Jim Chalmers, saying, "Oh, we don't have any plans or any proposals on the books to change negative gearing." This is what Adam Band had to say about that.
Labor says no, 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 yes, and everything's impossible until it's not.
Now, does that sound familiar? Does he sound like Jim Trott from The Vicar of Dibley?
No, Jim. Jim. No. Not Jim. No. Yes, Jim.
Adam Band and Jim Trott share a big 7 out of 10.
10 out of 10 every time.
Superb, Matt. Thank you.
Good on you, Matt.
Pleasure.
Get out there and enjoy the fringe.
Via con Dios.
Oh, I'll be there. Don't worry.
It's 4 minutes late. Should we do some texts in the meantime as we build up to 5AA News?
Yes, one here from Rock. He says the reason all this happens, to your point at the start there, Matt, is because Christians are more tolerant to other beliefs and to non-believers. Mountain of people just writing in like Irene saying I 100% agree. And one here talking about the central bus station. Stephen from Gawler says, I cannot believe the state of it. My understanding is that the Adelaide City Council control it. There's bird poop everywhere because the place is full of pigeons. I've had passengers waiting to travel to KI and have had themselves and their suitcases crapped on. There is no kiosk. It's poorly lit. The toilets are filthy. This council can't even do the basics. Probably too busy doing other stuff. Or not doing other stuff.
We're going to talk about the Adelaide City Council during Breaking at 8 this morning. If you're connected in any way with the Adelaide Comets Football Club, you might be particularly interested to hear what's going on. You'll certainly know the headlines. We'll take you a little bit behind the scenes as well of the latest endeavour by a sporting club to get, sport played on the parklands, which is increasingly seen as clearly as unpopular. We'll take you behind the scenes on that story for Breaking at 8 in just a moment. Then we're talking Kellogg's. 100 years of Kellogg's this year.
Why do you love Kellogg's cornflakes?
Cornflakes have a great texture. They're crunchy, and they stay crunchy in the milk.
Well, I'm 68. I've been eating them for years. They're good. Grouse.
I have them with yogurt, I have them with nuts, and they just taste great.
They're like sunshine in my mouth. Just look around. People's smiles on their faces eat cornflakes.
Kellogg's cornflakes. The simple things in life are often the best.
That's 34 years ago, that advertisement. They've been in operation for 100 years this year, and we'll be chatting with someone from Kellanova, the parent company that runs Kellogg's.
Keep your messages coming, folks, and also if you've got some stuff you'd like to get off your chest.
Oh, yes.
Thanks to our great friends, the Steelies, Care Alert Smart Dialers, the geniuses behind...
Mike and Darren Steele.
Mike and Darren, They sell peace of mind, is what they sell, but they
Great
also
product.
provide you with an opportunity to absolutely cut loose, go berserk about any topic. The more trifling and sillier, the better. But if you want to sound off for the smart dialer, today's the day.
Get calling now, 8223 Chat with Sam and Lucy. Get your sound off prepared, and we'll award someone with a $400 Care Alert smart
Maybe
dialer
you play
after
for the
8 o'clock.
Comets.
Yeah, well, we'll be sounding off on that topic in a moment.
Some builders think a sloping block has limitations. When Beechwood Homes look at a sloping block, they think, the possibilities. Beechwood Homes know how to make the most of a sloping block. In fact, they specialise in them. Beechwood will design a home that works with the land you have, taking full advantage of every square metre. So if you're looking at a sloping block, go for it. Beechwood has your back. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
Time is almost up. Get your tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery by midnight tomorrow for your chance to win a life-changing $1 million. You could become an instant millionaire. Plus, your tickets stay in for more than 12,000 draws, including the Scott Salisbury Grand Prize at Henley Beach. Hurry, early bird deadline is midnight tomorrow. homelottery.com.au. Licence M14493.
At Coles, make lunch or dinner a chicken winner with Coles RSPCA approved chicken breast schnitzel plain crumb 600 grams down to just $9 a pack. That's our lowest price in 18 months. That's great value, hands down, at Coles.
It's Edward from Edwardstown Mazda, South Australia's #1 destination for Mazda. Edwardstown Mazda has a very serious offer. So this is my most serious voice. This month's get savings equal to the on-road costs, plus free servicing on all 2023 plates. T's and C's apply. I'm Edward from Edwardstown Mazda, and I'm being very serious right now.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 28 today with the 8 o'clock news. Good morning. I'm Graham Goodings.
Chipped windscreen? Complete Windscreens can repair it from just $99. Look for the big red koala.
One person is dead and 9 injured after a shooting in the US. The Kansas City Chiefs had just stepped off stage when crowds ducked for cover. This witness was among those caught up in the incident.
The parade had just wrapped up and we were headed back to the direction where the Uber had dropped us off when all of a sudden people started crushing forward. Everybody started running. There was screaming. We didn't know what was happening, but this day and age when people run, you run. And there was a woman crying, saying something about somebody had been shot.
Police have taken 2 armed people into custody. Missouri Congressman Mark Alford says security is always a major concern at events like this.
This was a fear that I had, and I know that law enforcement, the FBI, they have spent over $1 million this year to try to secure this, I believe, a 2-mile route.
Researchers from the University of SA and the Peter MacCallum Clinic have made a major discovery which could help treat a range of diseases, including many cancers. The team has identified a key to unlocking the next generation of cancer therapeutics. These new treatments will use a new type of ribonucleic acid that can be tailored to treat many cancers, as well as some genetic and neurological disease. Israel and Lebanon have launched deadly attacks across their border, further intensifying tensions in the region. Europe correspondent Brett McLeod.
A barrage of rockets believed to have been fired by Hezbollah militia in southern Lebanon slammed into an Israeli town, killing a soldier and wounding 8 others. Israel's response to send in its fighter jets, launching a wave of strikes on Hezbollah targets, some deep inside Lebanon. A woman and her 2 children were among the dead, according to local officials. Meantime, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas is calling on Hamas to carry out a hostage release with Israel as soon as possible to spare further catastrophe in Gaza.
The Australian Defence Force is considering decreasing recruitment times, cutting back fitness standards and allowing foreigners to serve. The nation's military is under pressure to increase numbers, which are 7% below target. A gas bottle has been used during a smash and grab in the CBD. Senior Constable Rebecca Stokes says the Rosemont Hotel on the corner of Hindley and Morford Streets was targeted just after 1:30 this morning.
A man was seen to smash his way into the business with a gas bottle. He entered the building before leaving a short time later with several bottles of alcohol.
A 24-year-old man from Elizabeth Downs was arrested nearby. He'll face court today on several charges. Taylor Swift, FIVEAA, has officially hit Melbourne. The singer's private jet touched down just after midnight. Her Australian tour kicks off tomorrow night at the MCG. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a new roller door from Gliderroll before February 28 and receive a $100 gift voucher. T's and C's apply.
And now here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Graham. Adelaide's players will head to Port Lincoln today as they prepare for an internal trial there tomorrow. Meantime, the Crows' move to Thebarton is inching closer. Speaking with Rowie and Timmy G, Chairman John Olsen says they hope to start building their new base by mid-year.
Would I have liked this to have been handled in a shorter time frame?
Of course.
You bet I would have.
Yeah.
We'd worked extraordinarily hard to try and achieve that, but simply there is processes that we've got to work our way through, and as each hurdle comes up, we work at it, we knock it over, and we move forward.
And Port Adelaide will hold its season launch tonight as it prepares for an internal trial tomorrow at Alberton. Well, Australia has picked up 4 medals on day 4 of the Swimming World Championships in Doha. Sam Williamson has won gold in the men's 50-metre breaststroke. Elijah Winnington won silver in the men's 800-metre freestyle. Well, Rafael Nadal won't play in Doha. The tennis great says he's not yet ready to compete, but he's working towards Indian Wells. Meantime, Alex de Minaur is through to the quarterfinals of the Rotterdam Open in the Netherlands, following a straight sets demolition of Belgium's David Goffin. To cricket, and the Redbacks will recover today before preparing for tomorrow's Shield clash against Queensland. That match to be played at Adelaide Oval. The Redbacks enjoyed a 5-wicket win against the Bulls in their one-dayer yesterday. And in European Champions League action, Paris Saint-Germain is now 2-0 up against Real Sociedad with about 15 minutes to play, while Lazio has a shock 1-0 lead against German giants Bayern Munich. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thanks, Tom. Now checking 5AA traffic.
When you cover things, they last longer. Same goes for you. Save your skin. Download the SunSmart app.
Morning there at Trop Park. Reports of a crash on the Southern Expressway heading outbound just near Lander Road. Burst water main today at Athelston. That's on Stradbroke Road near Laurel Avenue. Busy for works at Winter Gardens at Olds Road near Lagonda Drive, and slow at the moment at Clarivar for works Tatterchilla Road near Main South Road. Got a camera at Kings Road at Parafield. Velocity members save up to 40% off selected products at Snooze, including mattresses and bed frames. Plus, earn double Velocity points in-store and online. Hurry on now. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
And now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
And it's blue skies ahead. Sunny and 28 today. Tomorrow, sunny 31. 33 Saturday and sunny. Sunday, sunny 35. Right now it's 16. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
6 minutes after 8. We'll talk Sejuna after 8:30. Had some really disturbing stories out of that part of South Australia in the last few days, some of which have featured in Breaking at 8. Breaking 8 is coming up in a moment. Also, after 8:30, try to get to the bottom of what's going on with corrections and the monitoring of ankle bracelets. The front page of the Advertiser this morning should be read by everyone who cares about how our laws are enforced in South Australia, because it seems an extraordinary situation that for 8 hours overnight, there's no one available to go out when someone's in breach of their ankle bracelet and where
to
they
make
should
the point
be.
again, this is hugely important because as a community, and we're seeing this again with this pedo who's going to be released, because apparently he's done his time, even though he's probably been stamped never to be released on his head, but that's by the by. So another one of these sickos is coming out into the community, and we're being told, well, okay, he'll be monitored. We've seen through the detainee story, you know those detainees who've been released? In Senate estimates yesterday, they found out that they've committed 27 separate offences since they've been released in December.
So it's 27
victims of crime from people who are allegedly being monitored. I reckon you and I do a better job monitoring these people than the people who are actually meant to be doing it.
The idea that it clocks off at night is just one of the more extraordinary things I've ever read in my life. That's in the paper this morning. We'll be talking about that again after 8:30. We need someone for a sound off, though.
Sound off.
We've got a Kerrilette Smart Dialer to give away. Valued at $400 this thing. Anything you want to get off your chest, big or small, often, as we say with the sound off, the sound off of the Smart Dialer, the smaller the better. Last week we had a bloke who flies drones off his tree about the fees required that you pay, the taxes on just wanting to fly your drone around to take some pictures. That was a fantastic sound off.
For the crime of wanting to promote your business.
The inaugural sound off was from someone who was upset about
the cost of women's haircuts.
The cost of women's haircuts. Brilliant sound off.
Yeah, it was good.
What's got you upset? 30 seconds. Vent your spleen. Let us know. Get it out of your system, and we'll do that in the sound off in a moment. But get calling right now. 8223 0000. Chat with Sam and Lucy. The Adelaide Comets Football Club are an NPL side in South Australia. NPL being sort of the Sandford level of soccer in this state. They're a big club, and it's a big league with, they would be thousands upon thousands of people that are connected to these clubs. They're a big deal, which is why at the last state election, the state government committed $1.75 million for upgrades to their Ellis Park home. The upgrade that's been done so far is fantastic, so much so that now they've got this NPL-sized pitch that is international quality. China used it as their base for the Women's World Cup when they were here, right? It is fantastic. Now, for it to be used at NPL games, it needs a fence. They don't allow you to just play in a park. It's a serious league. You need a fence. So they proposed a 1.1 metre high fence with gates. And they took it to the Adelaide City Council.
Gates that will be open to the public.
Well, this is it.
Very short fence.
The suggestion was that the only signage that would be there would be signs that saying gates are open, you're allowed to play. It would be accessible for 24 hours a day for people. Look, let's put it this way. So many hurdles were jumped through to get this acceptable that the Parklands preservation people said, yep, we've got no problem with it.
So they are the custodians. That's Shane Sodhi's gang. That's the most passionate defenders of the sanctity of the parklands.
They said it's fine. The Adelaide City Council said, not on our watch. By a vote of 5-4, they said the plan should be rejected due to the possibility it could set a precedent for the parklands and create an illusion that the public would be excluded. This is an absolutely ludicrous situation. This poor club has been strung along. I mean, by the way, this is your money. The state government's paid your money to get this off the ground, and the City Council is saying that's not going to happen.
So it was a Labor Party election promise.
It was a Labor Party election promise. Kieran Snape, the Deputy Lord Mayor, said he voted in favour of it on multiple occasions up until this last vote, and now that saw it getting canned. There's a real curious situation with another councillor, David Elliott, who works for Ian Hunter.
Labor MLC.
Labor MLC Ian Hunter, which raises a question. A few people have raised eyebrows saying, well, why was he even voting on something that involves state government money as a staffer for a member of the government?
But as a councillor, he voted against it.
Yet he voted against it. He voted against it, which made the vote...
Well, he should have reclused himself.
If he reclused himself, it's 4-4 and it goes to the Lord Mayor. And there's some speculation the Lord Mayor was quite in favour of this proposal. But we will never know. But it becomes another in a long line of things that the Adelaide City Council has quashed. And the idea of precedent, just before we... I reckon our listeners will be able to come up with multiple examples of the parklands offences that exist at facilities. Karen Rolton Oval is one that comes to mind.
Well, don't they like soccer? Don't they want sort of non-Anglo sports being played?
Adelaide Hockey Club?
It looks like that.
I go to Adelaide Hockey Club regularly. There's fences everywhere. This is 1.1 metres high. It's not Yatla.
What about privately owned tennis courts on Adelaide City Council?
They tend to have fences.
Property? What about the private horse adjustments for the lucky la-di-da people who've got their ponies
there
out
you go.
On the north, they're all fenced off. Don't they want, young, not NESB types coming into the parklands?
So just to be
it always looks like it.
Totally does. And just to be clear, so right now the situation is the state government has spent our money on this excellent club for a very worthy upgrade that'll benefit heaps of people, and what they've got is some fancy lawn that people's dogs can poop on.
We had a rant before.
They can't use it for the NPL. They have to go play games at Jeps Cross. They've been given $1.75 million for an upgrade, and they're playing games at Jeps Cross.
Well, this happened to the Indigenous, the Kamunka Cup. last year, we did the story about how this young grassroots Indigenous football carnival at the 11th hour, the Green Left faction on the City Council, even though the council staff just went, yeah, this is great, we love it, this is exactly what we should be doing in the parklands, a 2-day football festival for kids, going to be led by Aboriginal youth workers. The council staff organised the thing. Then suddenly it gets to the council meeting with the councillors, who are always the source of the problem, and old Janet Giles, the little light switch goes off in her brain. She says, oh, this is the Adelaide Crows, they're a big corporation, we're not supporting this. So it gets stopped. The same things happened with Adelaide Lutheran, AXARA. This is the most grassroots organisation. They've been going through hoops for like 5 years, drawing up these plans to replace a totally clapped out, dangerous, unsafe, rundown, graffiti-covered set of sports facilities on the parklands with a brand new, bespoke 2-storey building. And at the 11th hour, I think it was Jane Lomax-Smith who said, that looks like the Taj Mahal. And they've stopped it from going ahead. When all the councillors, the council staff have been doing all the work to make it happen. Same things happened here. And I don't know, are we going to let these incompetents just keep wrecking the city? They almost stopped the Harvest Rock Festival from going ahead. State government had to step in there.
So soccer, football, Harvest Rock, it sort of starts to feel like there's a certain type of person they don't want in the parklands.
It feels like it should be the preserve of white middle-class people who want to take their matching schnauzers for a walk and let them poop on the lawn. What a joke. Let us know what you think,
outrageous.
Folks. Particularly if you're involved with the
Adelaide Comets.
The Adelaide Comets. But, you know, this isn't... We're not talking about some rapacious private entity here. This is as grassroots as sport can get.
I bet the volunteers that work for the Adelaide Comets would have been working on this proposal for years. They would have worked up a proposal to get to state government. They would have had to...
Yeah,
they would have had to speak to local members. They would have had to get their support, who then would have had to go to the government. This would have been years, and then 1 minute and a last minute, a couple city councils go, oh, I'm not sure, I don't really like the fence.
I know, it's a bit bizarre, isn't it? I mean, it was like them going, well, we don't really like the supercars. Well, hang on, we just elected a government that on a promise of, one of its biggest promises was to bring back the race. And the council says, not really our cup of tea.
Yeah.
Oh, well, who asked you?
Indeed,
It's just crazy.
indeed. Let us know what you think, folks. 8223 You can text us on the Dutton's text line as well. Big 10 Ford, Jitum, Haval, Hyundai, Isuzu, Ute, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Nissan, Ram, Subaru and Volkswagen. Dutton's, easy to do business with. That number 0448 08 1395. We're going to check traffic and come back with a sound off from Frank in just a moment. When the UV is 3 and above, cover up. Use sun protection. Stay sun smart. Download the SunSmart app.
Thanks, Will. Trop Park reports of a smash on the Southern Expressway near Lander Road. That's as you're heading outbound. Atherstone vs Watermain, Stradbroke Road near Laurel Avenue. Bit sluggish at the moment at Gillis Plains for works. Grange Junction Road near Blacks Run and quite busy South Road at Theberton. Cameras this morning, Duthie Street, Malvern and Kings Road at Parafield. Dream Electric with BYD. Received $2,023 cash back on the award-winning 2023 model BYD Atto 3. Hurry, limited stock. Visit BYD today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowie and Timmy G on the 5AA Sports Show.
The T20s were completed against the West Indies. The West Indies won, but David Warner, it was his last international on T20 home soil.
Sadly, I think for David Warner, I don't think his cricket ability is enough to sway opinion.
I think everybody's a bit David Warnered out.
Rowie and Timmy G.
I'm just going, enough. What are we doing? Are we looking to the future?
You know what? Give someone else a crack.
4 p.m. weekdays on 5AA.
Before you do a thesis in dishwasher, depart on an oven odyssey, or make a pilgrimage up Mount Washing Machine. Just trying to work out what appliances to get? Drop into Adelaide Appliance Gallery. We're here to make your life easier. We've got the best advice, best appliances, and the best offers on SMEG. Save up to 15% with special discounts on fridges, cookers, dishwashers, and more. That's 15% off. Make your life easier with Adelaide Appliance Gallery, Paynham Road, St Peters.
A must-see at Fringe this year is the grilling season with Annabelle Crabb in an Adelaide Fringe exclusive.
exclusive. Annabelle Crabb dives into her 25-year political career to spill the tea on her strangest and most hilarious political encounters. Hear the tale of the gnocchi that foretold the end of a political career, the scariest salad in politics, and the amazing things you can learn from onions. Don't miss the grilling season with Annabelle Crabb. 2 weekends only at Gluttony. Book at adelaidefringe.com.au.
If you're thinking of building or you're renovating your kitchen, you've got a lot of choices to make, but the first choice should be Smeg. We have an amazing Smeg showroom right here in Adelaide. It's Deputy Distributors in Dudley Park, and inside you'll see the full Smeg range on display. It's not just the small stuff like the toasters and the kettles, but the full cooktops and ovens and everything in between. Dishwashers, fridges even. One of the fridges was designed in conjunction with Versace, I think. It's unbelievable. They've got wine cellars, kettles, toasters and more. Smeg seamlessly pairs powerful performance with architectural design. They even do cooking demonstrations up there. It's just a wonderful space. You can really taste the difference with Smeg. They've been proudly made in Italy since 1948. The colour, design and technology is world famous and instantly recognisable. Smeg, it's technology with style. Visit the Smeg showroom today at Deputy Distributors, Harrison Road, Dudley Park.
Get obsessed with the Honda SUV range at Formula Honda, Modbury and Glen Osmond. Whether it's the compact HRV, the sporty mid-sized Honda ZRV or the spacious CRV. And for a limited time, new Honda SUVs come with a 7-year warranty, 7-year roadside assist and 5 standard low price services at $199 each. Visit Formula Honda, Modbury or Glen Osmond and test drive today. Vehicles used for a commercial purpose have a 7-year or 200,000 kilometre warranty, whichever occurs first. T's and C's at honda.com.au.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
90 minutes after 8. It's time to sound off.
Sound off, sound off, sound off, sound off. Haters count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
All thanks to the Care Alert GPS, the ultimate emergency alert system for falls and illnesses wherever you are. carealert.com.au, valued at some $389 each. Frank in McGill's going to be getting one of these because he's about to sound off. Frank, fire away.
Morning, boys. Well, let me set it up for you. We had a barbecue on the weekend and we had some friends over and the wife goes, "I'll go out and get some dessert, some ice cream, some chips and all that." So I said, "I'll get out." And as I was looking through the freezer section of the ice cream, I thought I haven't had Magnums for a while. So I grabbed some almond Magnums, which were my favourites back in the day.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple of boxes. Non-behold to me, I grabbed one of a normal size and one of the mini sizes. And later that night, as we passed them all out and all that, I opened one of the standard size Magnums, and I could barely see it. It was like so small. And there was about 5 almonds on the outside, and I was thinking, far out. You know, the way things are these days, the cost of living, these guys are really, making these items so much smaller, yet they're charging more for the product.
So you're saying the standard size Magnum has shrunk?
Heaps, at least 30%.
Yeah, well, the price has probably gone up. The price has probably gone up 30%, Frank, since you last bought a Magnum too.
Well, no, $10 for take a 4 when they normally used to be about $6.
Yeah. Nothing worse than...
And now I'm finding that with all the confectionery, your chocolates, your Cadbury's and all that, they've all just shrunk in size, and they're still charging you the same amount.
That's a good sound-off, I think.
That is a good sound-off.
The shrinking Magnum.
Yeah, yeah. Nothing worse than an inadequately sized ice block. I've always said that. Hey, Frank.
That's a quality sound-off.
Sound-off. I saw a Twix bar the other day and thought that looks a bit smaller than it used to.
I bet our listeners would have lots of examples of stuff that's mysteriously... Everything about it is shrunk except
what
the price.
Happened to it?
Yeah.
It's been in the spa.
What can we put on the what happened to it list? 8223 You can text us on the Duttons text line as well, 0480 1395.
Confectionery shrinkage. That's what it's called.
Confectionery shrinkage.
Yeah, in the midst of a cost of living crisis.
What else can we add to the list? What else has gotten a hell of a lot smaller in our supermarkets? Let us know. We'll put a shame file together.
Big thanks to the excellent guys at Care Alert for their support.
Completely.
I
Absolutely.
needed to press the button. Frank got me so fired up.
All right, let's go to Parkholm. Chris has called in on Breaking It 8 this morning. Morning to you, Chris.
Good morning. How are you, gentlemen?
Good, thank you, Chris.
Just a comment in relation to the Adelaide City Council decision regarding the comets. I think it's an appalling decision, to be honest. That facility that they've built there is a great facility. The amenities are really good, and it's just so central. And it's a short-sighted decision. I mean, to have to continue to go to Jets Costa play games, it does dissuade a lot of supporters from going. It's not a bad facility out there either, but it's just not central enough to go and get to easily. So I'm very strongly against the decision the council's made here.
Yeah, good on you, Chris. Oh, wait, great call.
Good on you, Chris. Thank you. Anyone else with thoughts on that subject matter? You're free to call in on 8223 0000 or text us on the Duttons text line. A lot of texts earlier about cereal inspired by one hell of an anniversary this year. Kellogg's turns 100. The Kellogg's started in 1924, albeit the brothers behind it, they'd been working up cereal-related innovations since the early 1890 with the flaked wheat berry, David, which of course you're all very familiar with. 1894, W.K. Kellogg and Dr. John Harvey Kellogg. They nailed it though with the cornflake, which of course endures to this day. We had a lot of fun conversations about it and how people have it this morning, including the honey puff v crackle debate that we didn't know existed.
Honey Joy.
Honey Joy v crackle.
Not honey puff. You're going to straying into Lucamadez territory there.
Exactly right. Ben O'Brien is Senior Director at Kellanova, ANZ, who are the parent company of Kellogg's. Ben, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Great to speak to you this morning.
Well, congratulations, Ben, on raising the bat, celebrating the ton. It's a huge achievement. So can you just resolve one thing for us, Ben? Well, it's trying to work this out before. Are cornflakes made out of corn?
Yeah, they are, absolutely. They're a pretty basic ingredient coming from a corn kernel. So, yeah, rolled, and that's how our founder, W.K. Kellogg, started it back in 1906 and got the factory cranking up here in Sydney in 1924. So, yeah, absolutely made out of corn.
So is every flake like a single kernel, or are they slices of a kernel? How does it work?
They've ground down to grits, I believe, and then sort of moulded into so that the flake can come out. So, I've been through the plant a couple of times, but I'm not the technical expert, to be honest.
How big a part are cornflakes of the Kellogg's suite of goods that you sell?
Cornflakes are a staple in our portfolio, but also a staple in Aussie families. Actually, fun fact, South Aussies last year actually consumed about 1 million kilos of our cornflakes. Aussies love cornflakes, but South Aussies actually love cornflakes probably more than the average.
Is that right? So, yeah, big punching above our weight.
Yeah, absolutely. Over-indexed with good old cornflakes in South Australia, which is great.
There you go. What about that? And they're one of the great simple food items, aren't they? Because there's not really much sort of messing around with the corn kernel after it's been puffed up, is there?
No, it's pretty basic. It's pretty wholesome food that is very, very transparent in what you see is what you get, which is something we're very proud of.
Have there been any fluctuations historically with its popularity, or has it been always consistently at this level? Like, was there a post-war cornflake boom, or did it go through a sort of a lull at any point?
I'd say the peak of the cornflake was probably around the 1980s.
Okay.
We went through a bit of a dip at the turn of the century, but I'm pretty proud to say that the last 4 to 5 years we've seen a return of the cornflake, and actually last year was our fastest growing brand, which is fantastic to see. That the humble cornflake is still our fastest growing cereal, which is fantastic.
Do you feel, Ben, that we did a story here locally this week about new guidelines for school tuck shops where they've declared war on absolutely anything that's vaguely sweet or processed? Do you feel that looking at the broader suite of Kellogg's products, is it a tougher sort of sell policy-wise these days when you look at the sale of some of your sweeter brands?
Oh, look, we do. We're always changing our formulations to meet consumer demand. There's definitely, I've been at Kellogg's for over 20 years, and certainly from where the portfolio was, 20 years ago versus where it is today, there's a big change in what consumer habits and what consumers are looking for. So we're always iterating against that, and we offer a range of cereal and snacks products to try to cater for that. But something we're always working on year in, year out. Our R&D guys are flat chat trying to make sure that we're developing the right food for consumers.
Can you settle an argument we've been having among our listeners this morning, Ben? Is it the honey joy or the honey crackle when you see cornflakes with honey at a kid's party?
Oh, definitely the honey joy.
Okay, that's official then.
I don't know what the listeners' vote was, but it's certainly in my house. It's always the honey joy.
Well, you're the boss man.
Well, it's
Ben O'Brien has spoken. Honey joy it is.
Good on you, Ben. Congrats on the milestone.
Yeah, happy birthday, mate.
Thanks for having us, guys. Cheers.
Ben O'Brien, Senior Director at Kellanova ANZ. Hey, here's some...
What's that thing in psychology, auto-suggestion? I now really feel like cornflakes.
Do you?
And I never eat them, but now I want some.
It's how advertising works, I guess,
Weird,
isn't it?
That's true.
Breaking news. Daily Telegraph out of Sydney reporting that the Prime Minister is one hell of a romantic. On Valentine's Day, proposed to his longtime girlfriend, Jodie Hayden. She said yes, by the way, too. So he's taken to Twitter this morning to announce that the Prime Minister is now happily engaged.
Wow. Oh, good on him.
How many Prime Ministers have had weddings in office?
Ooh. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I can think of some that had divorces.
Yeah.
Well, they came after their Prime Ministership generally.
Well, I just wonder, that'd be a pretty rare event, I reckon, in the history of Australian politics. Maybe listeners can think back.
Kim Beazley might have got married. No, that was before he was leader because he was married twice. His wife, Susie Anna, she's lovely. Yeah, I can't think of any.
Give it some thought. 29 after 8, just some breaking news out of the eastern states this morning. 5AA News is coming up. Back with more in a moment.
Hi, it's Callum Han here, Ambassador for Pick a Local, Pick SA. If you're looking for quality fruit and veg from someone you can trust, go to those who know, your local fruit and veg store. They're the ones at the market before dawn, selecting the freshest produce from SA growers. They know what's in season, the best varieties for cooking, and have an eye for quality. Shop in stores displaying the red Pick a Local Pick SA sign and follow us on Facebook for inspiration, recipes, and more ways to enjoy South Australian grown.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. Laxmi's Indian Restaurant was recently awarded Best Indian Restaurant in South Australia. Open every day for lunch and dinner. Laxmi's Tandoori Restaurant, 295 Glen Osmond Road.
Are you sitting down? Great, because what you're about to hear is unprecedented, unbeatable, unparalleled. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen is giving you 3 days, just 3 days, to walk in and drive out in your dream Mawson Lakes Volkswagen. All models, all colours, all ready to drive away. This Thursday, Friday and Saturday only, so hurry in. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen's unprecedented 3-day sale. On now and Saturday. Salisbury Highway, just a short drive from the city.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 28 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Graham Goodings.
From chips to replacements, make Complete Windscreens your insurer repairer of choice. CompleteWindscreens.com.au.
Super Bowl celebrations in Kansas City have turned deadly. Gunfire rang out as the traditional parade for the Chiefs was wrapping up. One person has been killed with up to 15 injured. 2 people are in custody. Former NYPD Detective Michael Alcazar says officers will be working swiftly to determine a motive.
Was this a terrorist act? Was this a dispute? Any scenario could unfold, and we're waiting to see what the investigation would reveal. I'm sure there's tons of video surveillance from buildings, from people's cell phones.
Mayor Quinton Lucas has been in contact with the NFL team.
We have spoken to the Kansas City Chiefs, who made clear that their prayers are with everyone who was at the parade today, everyone in Kansas City, and everyone who was touched by this incident. They also noted that their players, coaches, and staff are all accounted for at this point and safe.
There's been a cafe fire at Lonsdale. The alarm was raised on O'Sullivan Beach Road just before 5 a.m. A jerry can had been thrown through the front window of the building. The building sustained minor fire and smoke damage. Crime scene officers will attend later this morning. Consumer advocates will soon be given a fast-track pathway to complain about Australians being ripped off. The federal government says the competition watchdog's new complaints mechanism will be up and running from July. It'll allow groups like Choice to raise concerns about systemic misconduct. Assistant Competition Minister Andrew Lee says the change will boost the economy while reducing prices.
We know there's too much systemic misconduct in the Australian economy, whether that's banks or airlines or supermarkets or small businesses not getting paid on time. We're announcing today a process that allow those peak consumer and small business groups to bring to the regulator issues of systemic misconduct.
The federal government's been criticised over plans for a $40 million ad campaign selling its reforms to the nation's tax system. Labor will pare back concessions for wealthy Australians to give more relief to those on low and middle incomes. The Coalition ran a similar ad blitz explaining its tax cuts in 2019. But Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor, the campaign is a waste of taxpayers' money.
The truth is they're spending $40 million to back in a broken promise to justify a lie. And this is a government and a treasurer that thinks it can spin and spend its way out of a cost of living crisis. Well, it can't.
The Prime Minister is getting married. Anthony Albanese has posted a photo to socials of he and partner Jodie Hayden with a ring. The caption said, "She said yes." The couple have been together since 2021. The number of international students being rejected from Australian universities has reached a record high. The federal government is ranking tertiary institutions based on the likelihood that they'll recruit students for work rather than study. Applicants from India, Nepal and Pakistan are being the worst affected. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a new roller door from Glider Roll before February 28 and receive a $100 gift voucher. T's and C's apply.
Here's Tom Redden.
Thank you, Graham. Port Adelaide forward Todd Marshall says he's hoping to take his game to a new level after signing a 5-year extension with the club. The 25-year-old has long been touted as a potential star, and despite booting 81 goals in the past 2 years, Marshall has told Rowie and Timmy G he wants to lift his game again.
Yeah, I think it's just on myself now to sort of prove people that, I can be that forward that, that I want to be and the club wants me to be. So, yeah, it's what I do about it now over this next, 5-6 years that I'm at the club. And, yeah, I think it's really exciting and it's going to be, some good years ahead for me, hopefully.
The Australian swim team has picked up 4 medals on day 4 at the World Championships in Doha. Sam Williamson won the men's 50-metre breaststroke, while Elijah Winnington took silver in the men's 800-metre freestyle. The Dolphins' Olympic trials will be held in June, and dual gold medalist Bronte Campbell says competition will be fierce.
It's once every 4 years and you get one shot, you get one race, and it comes down to 0.01 of a second sometimes as to who makes the team and realises their dream and who has to try again in another 4 years.
To cricket, Western Australia will take on New South Wales in the final of the Men's One Day Cup title. They beat Tasmania in Hobart by 52 runs yesterday to book their place. The Redbacks finished bottom despite an impressive 5-wicket win against Queensland yesterday. And it's full-time in European Champions League action, with PSG recording a 2-0 win against Real Sociedad, while Lazio upset Bayern Munich 1-0. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
When you cover things, they last longer. Same goes for you. Save your skin. Download the SunSmart app.
Crash at Elizabeth Vale to look out for. Main North Road near John Rice Avenue. Burst Watermer, Athelston, Stradbroke Road near Laurel Avenue. Leeward Gardens is a bit slow too for works. Mount Barker Road near the freeway. Sluggish South Road, Edwardstown with the camera. Old South Road at Old Ranella. Freedom's 48-hour flash sale is on now. Get 25% off full price items. Store-wide, including sofas, mattresses, furniture and more. Ends midnight only at Freedom. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
And now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cool. Service your aircon at Automasters. And keep cool with Cool Now, Pay Later options.
Beautiful days ahead. Sunny and 28 today. Tomorrow sunny 31. Saturday sunny 33. And Sunday sunny 35. Right now it's 17. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
It's 24 minutes to 9. Breaking 8 this morning was on the Adelaide Comets Football Club being denied use of a pitch that was going to be redeveloped thanks to a Labor government election promise. $1.5 million invested in making a pitch really world class. In fact, so much so the Chinese women's team for the Women's World Cup used it as their training base. But to make it NPL compliant,
we should have got them to put up a great wall around it.
Oh, that's right. I'll tell you what, they'd have a way with dealing with local council. I'm starting to become more sympathetic too.
That's right.
The Adelaide City Council, despite the proposal being so inoffensive, everyone who was a party to the decision outside the council thought it was a totally reasonable idea, rejected the 1.1 metre high fence that would make it compliant so they could actually play games at this brand new facility as was intended. Instead, the club's now going to have to continue playing at Jepp's Cross because the City Council in its wisdom said, you know, we don't like this sport. We don't want these people in our parklands. Jim Zavalis is the president of the Adelaide Comets. He's called in on this issue. Jim, good morning to you. We can't believe this.
Oh, good morning, gentlemen. Yeah, it is a bit frustrating, I must admit, considering all the work we've done for the last few years to get us where it is, and to have two meetings where it was all fully approved and all voted upon unanimously, and to come on Tuesday and certain people reversed their thoughts on it and went against us, which was, absolutely frustrating, I must admit.
You talk about all the work that's gone into it, Jim. It must be so weird, because I reckon there'd be council staff listening to this who'd just be shaking their heads in confusion and embarrassment as well, because you would have sat down having face-to-face meetings with all of these hard-working and professional council staff who have just been working on the presumption with you that there's not going to be a problem with it.
Well, that's right. You know, we followed the process. We've done everything that council has asked of us to do. Even putting on the landscape architect to soften the plans, to build some mounds around for people to sit, and planting more trees around Ellis Park, the outside perimeter of Ellis Park, and more shrubs. You know, the pathways as well to meet all requirements. We've done everything they have asked of us, and to get unanimous votes, and then on the final meeting, a few people reversed their thoughts. It was, like I said, just frustrating. I mean, we'll keep working. We'll keep working with the council. I get it. These things, take time, but I mean...
So Jim, just on that, so Kieran Snape, the Deputy Lord Mayor, is one of those that voted in favour of this at previous council meetings, and then at the final stage changed his... Does he ring you and say, hey, I've suddenly had an epiphany, or was there any explanation, or was it a total blindside?
No, it was a blindside. No, there's been no communication from the councillors that decided to change their mind. No, it was a blindside. I must admit, going there on Tuesday, I guess we were pretty confident from the previous meetings that were had. But what do? We keep going. We're all volunteers. We're all working hard. We've been there 30 years in the council, in the parklands, and we've maintained the grounds ourselves and the facilities. We're pretty much, from that side of it, we pay all the costs of the services and everything to maintain the grounds in a pristine condition. So, trust me, I love the parklands. We've got a beautiful city, and we wouldn't do anything to jeopardise that either.
I just don't see when, Karen Rolton Oval, we mentioned private tennis courts, even,
lawn bowls on the Credible Terrace,
hockey,
over 2 metre high fences.
Just makes zero sense.
There's a high fence behind us. Adelaide High School on a synthetic soccer pitch, which is over 2 metres high.
I mean, 1.1 metres is hardly Yatla, is it?
Well, that's right. And you know what? The other thing is, the pitch is 200 metres away from West Terrace and from Sir Donald Bramman Drive. It's not as if it's on the main road.
It's put right back.
It's put right back. And the rest of the Ellis Park is all completely open.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Jim, we'll stay in touch on it with you, mate, because we'll keep making a noise about it. And my mail is that the state government is supremely unimpressed by the way this is panned out. So we'll see if any pressure's brought to bear there on the L-plate tier of government. Jim Zavalis, President of the mighty Adelaide Comets, thanks for joining us, mate. We're going to talk now to Rowan Ramsey, who's the federal member for Grey. This is off the back of yesterday's Breaking at 8, where residents of Ceduna contacted us saying they've had an absolute gutful of the lawlessness that is marring the beautiful Eyre Peninsula city. Rowan, good morning. Always great to chat. Some of the stories we heard yesterday were alarming. An 81-year-old woman having a house ransacked, pretending to be asleep while two offenders went through her personal possessions. But the one that struck me the most was the one about the service station, where they've just basically given up. They don't even bother contacting police anymore about the almost daily robberies of food items. What sort of feedback have you been getting from your constituents about it?
Yeah, good day, David, and good day, Will. I didn't hear those interviews yesterday. I'm in Canberra at the moment, but I know the stories, but particularly the one. Well, I know both those stories. The shoplifting. I had a gentleman ring me about 2 weeks ago, and he knew the kids that were locals, that he'd said something to them on the way, and he'd worked with them in the past in his role, community role. And then while he was buying his paper, he said the face on the attendant just sort of froze, and he looked around to see what they were doing, and they were just filling their pockets up. And he chased them out the store, said, "You can't do that." And they just laughed at him, and when he went back to the counter, he said, "They do it every day. We've given up reporting it. We just write it down, talk to the insurance about it."
Amazing, isn't it?
This is just a complete breakdown of civility. I had been asking people, when they'd contacted me over a long period of time, write me a letter, and they'd been reluctant, and I'd been reluctant to make a big noise about it because with publicity it becomes it's always double-edged. It's a tourist town, but it's actually got to the point now where it's just unsustainable, and business is dropping away because the word is already out with the tourists avoid. Whereas previously it'd been, this place is getting better and better. Come. And you don't have to advertise that stuff. It advertises itself. There's nothing like the Grey Nomad Network. I can tell you, it gets out there.
Yeah.
And now, of course, the word is, don't come to Ceduna. It feels dangerous. Bloke pulled in his boat and was trying to get out something from under the tonneau cover, and a gentleman, and I use that word very loosely, come up and started urinating on the side of his car. I've got a letter from some people in Bundaberg who've been coming to Ceduna for over a decade, and they meet up with people at the caravan park that they'd met there, and they go fishing for S.A. Whiting, and I love it, from Bundaberg. Bundaberg. Anyway, they're not coming back anymore after their last experience. They don't feel safe. It just goes on and on. The businesses have. Once I think a couple have said, "Well, I am going to back these letters." The lids come off. I think I'm in possession now of almost 35 letters. I said to them, "I'm quite happy to remove your names. I've got a little spot in Parliament in a couple of weeks where we're working on a motion in this area, where I'll be reading out excerpts from the letters, just some of the more horrific stuff. Some of the things, I mean, honestly, I don't even like repeating. It's just too sickening. Business is saying, I'm sick of my staff having to go out in the morning and clean up the spit, the blood, the vomit, broken glass, day after day. Now, it doesn't happen every day and every night, but it's there often enough, and which is why I've said to the Minister, you need to come there unannounced, because the broom goes out pretty quick when the word comes that, we've got someone important coming.
Someone was telling me here in town yesterday that apparently there's been like 4 massive funerals, or very important funerals for Indigenous groups over the last few weeks or even months, and that hundreds of people have come to Ceduna from elsewhere in SA and from Western Australia. Does that gel with what you've heard as well, that there's heaps of...
No, I'd agree with that. I mean, this has become... how wide a subject do we want to get into? But funerals in Indigenous communities have become months-long affairs now, as there seems to be dissent over who pays for, where they're going to be buried, who's responsible. There's a very important elder from Yalata that died, I think, 5 months ago.
Wow, that's still going.
I mean, traditionally, people would have had to been buried within 2 days, or there wouldn't have been anything left of them. So this has become a complete distortion of traditional behaviour. And so I don't argue that there hasn't been people in Ceduna for funerals, but I can tell you that there was 2 years ago too, and there was 2 years before that, and 2 years before that as well. This is not a new phenomenon.
Sure.
So for people to say, that we've got funerals, so of course the place is in disarray, and then B, that somehow, because you go to a funeral, that gives you a right to go out and trash the joint. Well, I don't, do you trash the joint after you go to your mate's funeral? I don't know anyone that does, and that doesn't justify anything. I mean, that is a complete sideways handball that should be disallowed to go.
Yeah.
What do you need, Rowan? What's the first step in making Ceduna a safer place?
Well, I'm not full of ideas, but we did have one thing that worked. It was called the cashless debit card. And I warned the minister, the ministers, the government, don't take it away. This will come back to haunt you. The card was introduced. It was the idea of Twiggy Forrest. It presented here in a joint party room in Canberra when we were in government. It came about after we'd had a South Australian coroner's inquest into 6 untimely drug, alcohol-related deaths in Ceduna from people sleeping rough. There have been deaths since the card has been removed that we think will eventually be sheeted home to exactly the same problems we had before. And while the card wasn't like snapping the light and things suddenly became fantastic, it took time, and we had to refine it as we went along. But I can tell you one thing, now it's taken away, it's like we've fallen off the cliff. 14 months in, we are just worse than ground zero. And so that's one thing. The other thing is the work for the dole program that applied to Indigenous people in particular, and it had been called the CDP in recent times, which meant they had to return to their home community to actually pick up their dole check. That has disappeared. Linda Burney announced one this week. They're bringing back a form of it, but it's 3,000 places Australia-wide when it used to service 40,000. So you can imagine that's not even going to touch the sides. So there are two things. And look, I just think the card should be brought back. I think it's a bad decision. Look, Prime Minister didn't seem to have any trouble saying, well, we made a bad decision on tax, we'll turn that one around. How about he goes back and has a look at this one and says, we got it wrong, sorry.
It does sound like a total shambles. Rowan Ramsey, the federal member for Grey there, we always love doing these stories from the grassroots, human average punter level, which is why we did Breaking at 8 the way we did yesterday about those stories from people who just live in Ceduna. A bloke run a local business, another woman who's retired, spoke to them. So Ceduna listeners, if you want to contact us with your stories on air at 5AA.com.au is the email. If you want to sit down and put pen to paper, you can be anonymous as well. We're also going to give an opportunity to the Federal Minister, Amanda Rishworth, to come on and talk about the cashless welfare card component of this debate as well. As Rowan Ramsey said, it wasn't a magic wand, but maybe it was one effective tool that should be revisited. But there's a hell of a lot of issues going on. Like these funerals.
Sounds outrageous.
I've been to some rollicking wakes in my time. I can't remember going to one that lasted for 5 months.
All right, let's check traffic. When the UV's 3 and above, cover up. Use sun protection. Stay SunSmart. Download the SunSmart app.
Thanks, Will. At Elizabeth Vale crash, Main North Road near John Rice Avenue. Another one at Athelston, Burstwater Main there, Stradbroke Road near Laurel Avenue. And a crash at Manopara, Curtis Road near Main North Road. Got lights on the blink at the moment at Craigmore, Yorktown Road near Turner Drive, with the camera Kings Road at Parafield. Heading to the city, there's Fringe and wondering where to park? Park local with UPark. All profits go back into supporting your community. UPark, proud parking partner of the Adelaide Fringe. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
On 5AA mornings, the Adelaide International Tattoo 2025 cancelled because the state government refusing to fund it. Perhaps organisers should have invited Sam Smith and a bunch of influencers. We'll speak with them after 9. Also, Tim from Johnston with us, taking your calls this morning on legal matters. I'm Matthew Pantelis. Look forward to your company from 9.
It's Edward from Edwardstown Mazda, and this is my most serious voice. Because Edwardstown Mazda has a very serious offer on BT50s. Yep, this month you'll get savings equal to the on-road costs. Free servicing on all 2023 plates, plus accessory packages. T&C supply. Go on, buy a BT50, you good-looking rooster. I'm Edward from Edwardstown Mazda.
Hi, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years we, the Lynn Andrews team, have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easier for investors and tenants. Everyone is treated with empathy and respect. It's the way we do business. It's the Lynn Andrews way. For residential and commercial property management, we're here to help you. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
How's this? You can win $1 million instant cash That'd solve a few problems, wouldn't it? Get your tickets for the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery by midnight this Friday, that's tomorrow, to go in the early bird draw for $1 million.
And then your ticket stays in the draw for the $3.6 million grand prize at Henley Beach. And the earlier you get your tickets, the more you can win. Become a member free for the chance to win even more cash prizes.
But remember, early bird deadline is midnight this Friday. Don't miss out on your chance to become an instant millionaire.
By purchasing a ticket in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery, you can be proud that you are improving life-changing treatments and in care for every South Australian. Get your tickets now at homelottery.com.au.
Before you do a thesis in dishwasher, depart on an oven odyssey, or make a pilgrimage up Mount Washing Machine. Just trying to work out what appliances to get? Drop into Adelaide Appliance Gallery. We're here to make your life easier. We've got the best advice, best appliances, and the best offers on Smeg. Choose from Smeg's linear range of ovens and save up to $1,200 during the clearance sale. Make your life easier with Adelaide Appliance Gallery, Paynham Road, St Peters.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
7 to 9, Fuel Watch. One out there when fuel is at its cheapest and where to fill up nearby with the free RAA app. You'll be struggling to find unleaded under $2 this morning, but there's a couple of spots where you might get lucky. The OTR Grand Junction Road Jeps Cross, $1.88.5. If you're a Costco member, you get it for $1.78.7. Most diesel hovering in the mid-$90s. Cheapest remains out north. The ex-convenience Main North Road Jeps Cross at $1.87.5. Extraordinary front page on the Advertiser this morning.
Yep, the headline, Correctional Services Asleep on the Job, Crim's Party Hour, with sources within Correctional Services telling the Advertiser that there are no compliance staff who are actually on the road between 11pm and 7am. David Brown is the Chief Executive of the Department of Correctional Services. Mr. Brown, this seems like a bit of a gaping hole in a sort of vigilance sense, does it not?
Thank you. Look, what I would say is that all offenders subject to electronic monitoring in the community are monitored by DCS staff 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year, and we deploy our resources to carry out, the functions that we need to do to ensure compliance to the orders.
But that's between 7am and 11pm you're talking about there, is it?
No, we staff our intensive compliance unit, and in particular the live monitoring of electronic monitoring, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So they're monitored, but if someone's in breach, what happens between 11pm and 7am?
If someone is in breach, then the response is in accordance with our procedures, and those procedures are being developed in concert with...
What are the procedures?
Well, look, I won't go into great operational detail for obvious reasons, but we include...
I don't think the reasons are that obvious.
Telephone contact for offenders, when appropriate, direct visitation by DCS staff, but quite often when the breach is deemed serious and immediate, it's an immediate referral to SAPO.
So hang on, can we just establish one thing? Is the Advertiser's reporting accurate? Are there resources on the road between 11pm and 7am?
I'm not going to go into the details of our resourcing and how we deploy them, just as I didn't do with the Advertiser. But what I can say is the model that we have in place has been in place for many years, and the take-up rate for releasing authorities to include electronic monitoring on their orders has grown every year in the last decade. And so
why is it a state secret about whether you've got people out on the road monitoring registered offenders overnight? Why does that need to be secret?
As I said, I'm not in a position to discuss how we deploy our resources. I'm not in
Are you in a position to discuss why it has to be a secret?
Oh, because we've got 1,200 people under electronic monitoring in the community.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? So you got 1,200 people. You got 1,200 people under monitoring in the community. How many people do you have on between 11pm and 7am monitoring those 1,200 people?
As I said, I'm not going to go into discussing our resourcing or how we deploy our resources, but every alarm or alert that is generated at any time in the 24-hour cycle is immediately responded to by our staff, and appropriate escalations occur.
So in sum, you have no concerns with your current staffing levels or resourcing, because clearly some of the people that work for you do.
No, we're very confident that we're adequately resourced. The proof is in the pudding when it comes to the courts and the parole board, who are increasingly using electronic monitoring as a condition on offenders because they know that it works in getting greater compliance and also notifying the authority quickly where there is a breach of compliance.
You guys don't work for the immigration department, though, do you? That's separate, isn't it? So
immigration's a federal responsibility.
Yeah, sure. So who was in charge of that roaring success with monitoring the detainees who were released last year?
The monitoring arrangements for people by the federal government is a matter for Border Force and the federal government. They weren't monitored by us unless they were subject to an order by DCS.
Okay. David Brown there, the Chief Executive of the Department of Correctional Services. Yeah, that invited more questions than provided answers, that interview.
Well,
I think. Did it not?
The people at the top of the department clearly have greater confidence in what's going on than the people that are actually working in the front line, which I think is concerning for anyone listening.
That was also one of those scenarios where I think we were going to have the normally genial and available Joe Suckash coming on talk about that, but we got that guy instead, which sounds almost like a hospital pass to me. Hey, there's a really good text here. I love this text. From Peter. Guys, seeing the Adelaide City Council controls a lot of things which us suburbanite bogans want to see or do, I reckon everyone in Adelaide should vote in the Adelaide City Council elections and we might see some sensible decisions.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I would trip over myself to vote in those elections.
Hey, just to take us out, we've got some tickets to give away to Fleet Macwood. If you're a Fleetwood Mac fan, get along to see this excellent show at Fantail at Gluttony in Rymel Park. Home of the biggest shows this fringe. Tickets from gluttony.net.au. First caller through on 8223 0055. We're out of time. Stick around. Matt Pantelis is next.
Shopping